Well, it tells me I'm alive. And everything sounds fine and dandy. So hello, how is everybody? Hello, Jonathan. First in. Always have a bit of a bet with Jonathan. If
First
he'll see
in, last out.
Well, he is, because he'll just leave it there, won't he?
Right.
Jonathan assures me he's joining us with a nice glass of Rocker.
Right, you're live.
Which will work for me because it'll induce sleep. Excellent. It's 2-1 in the Do I Make It to the End of the Show and Does Jonathan stakes. Hello, Deb CQ, Deb.
I haven't got any wine.
Oh, there's a gross oversight. Go and get some. Not too late to go and get some.
Could do. I could wait till the interval.
Chrome works when it feels like it, I find. And at the moment, not liking my MacBook Air. But never mind, I've got enough browsers. Hello, Kim. Hello, Kiva. She likes the grooming better now she's added all the treats. Loving it. Hello, Peter. Greetings from Perth. Very first MacBites session. Oh, wow. I would say you're in for a treat, but I'm going to leave everybody else to apprise you of what to expect. 4 a.m. See, Jonathan, you've got no excuse for nodding off. I'll say no more. Right, going through the chats, and I'm here. Hello, Alex. Good evening to you. How's hashtag? And hello, Paul. Yes, I think Mike should go and get some wine. Calm him down before the bubble charts, don't you? Right, let's first of all see if you can see my desktop. Because it's not going to be a good demo if you can't.
We have a big Aussie contingent in today.
We do have a big Aussie contingent in. I need to get my blow-up kangaroo out, don't I? You're wondering why I've got a blow-up kangaroo.
Long story.
It's a long story. Right, I've got Keynote on that screen. Everything looks good to go. Let's share that with you. Are you going to get that wine, or are you just seriously contemplating
I'll get it in the interval.
There's an interval? Nobody told me.
I'll get it when Lola wants to go out.
Oh, hashtag's fine. That's excellent. Well, hello and welcome. Look at that. 4 a.m. for Jonathan. Not happening. 4 a.m. for me. Just about heading to bed. Early for me. Right. So, hello. Welcome. What we got tonight? Well, lots. Look at where I put that recolouring, Jonathan. Just after the bit where you fall asleep. But we'll see. We have updates to Vivaldi. Mike's got a story about that, but I'm going to let him tell you that. Then we're going to carry on with what we talked about last week, which was how to create step-by-step tutorials. Then we've got cleaning text. This all came from a conversation in Marooned at MacBites headquarters, which was, that seems like an interesting app. What can it do? So we're going to have a look at that. Then I've got some freebies, a couple of courses, all under lockdown. Although having said that, a lot of cars outside, I'll say no more. Where are they going at this time on a Friday night?
I dread to
under lockdown. Just wondering. Then Mike's going to thrill you with bubble and scatter charts. They look really cool. Then we've got the recolouring in Affinity Photo. I've left the unboxing on, but I haven't even plugged my camera in because nothing's arrived to unbox apart from one thing, which I'm going to show you early doors. But before we even get going, make sure you're watching in HD. They seem to have removed the red flash. No idea why. Just feel like doing it. But you've still got the cog. You can still go and choose the highest quality available. And if you do, we are less fuzzy. So that's what you need to do. If you see anything that you like, please give us a like. It makes a huge difference with YouTube. They get uppity with me if I don't get enough likes. It's like having a boss, isn't it? Who knew? Anyway, we always start, if you're new with us, we always start with what we've been up to this week at MacBites headquarters, and it's usually a riot, isn't it, Mike? And this week, no different. Saturday last week, a hugely busy day. 3 shows Saturday. Was it 3 shows? 2 shows?
2 shows.
It was a very busy day, let's just say that. We had a Marooned at MacBites headquarters, which is 7 o'clock every night while we were in lockdown. But we went straight out of that and into another show at Brooklands 196 by request, which is a music show on Brooklands 196. Somebody gets really, really into the swing of it, don't you?
Yes.
Really into the swing of it. Are you seeing the picture, Mike?
Not yet.
Well, look here, then you will.
Oh, yeah.
Really into the swing of it. That was what we call headbanging hour. But obviously, what you're most intent on knowing is the order that I managed to slip in had on it my pasta. my gluten-free pasta. I don't actually care what my gluten-free pasta looks like, but you were all waiting to find out if I got the replacement for the one I actually ordered, which was the Dino pasta. It's pasta in the shape of dinosaurs. Well, like I say, I don't mind as long as it's gluten-free pasta. And the answer to that was yes, I got the gluten-free pasta. Which took us to Sunday. Couldn't wait. I actually got 2 lots of pasta. All right. Mike actually cooked it for me and it was delicious, Mike. Beautiful. I'm not sure what that one's called. Is that the macaroni one?
Yeah.
But we got some dolmio sauce, but Mike actually did the chicken by himself. So we had it with chicken, not beef. And it was gorgeous. Happy to report that. Right, which took us on to Monday. You must think we do nothing but shop.
That reminds me.
What does?
I've not taken the chicken out of the freezer.
That'll be interesting to cook it then.
Good excuse to get some wine.
Look what he did there, Jonathan. Seamless. Totally seamless. Right, well, we seem to have ordered more, but I don't know whether we have or not. It's just, you're constantly after trying to get a slot. But Monday was not about trying to grab a slot. No. Monday was trying to find somewhere to put the stuff that had arrived. You'll notice the healthy stuff at the front. Do you not sprinkle cheese on your pasta?
We would if we had any.
Somebody forgot to order it, Mike.
It's a simple answer.
So we would if we had any, but other than that, no, I'm not overly concerned. The healthy stuff at the front. Ooh, not had crisps in ages, but I decided we were going to have some crisps. You obviously think we're stockpiling toilet rolls, but yeah, that's how it was delivered. So as Mike opened the door, the whole lot came avalanching towards him. That's how stuff's being delivered these days. But yes, it arrived. So the little bags had my other toys in, like my pasta and stuff. So I was a very happy girl. Tuesday, the delivery wasn't for us. Oh, no. Tuesday, it was a delivery for Lola. And she sat guarding it all day. Look at her little face. She knows when there's treats around. She did sit guarding it. You'll notice the towel on the top. That's the towel that we were talking about needing more towels. Something on that shortly. Kim says COVID cave for sure. Oh, Kim, it's the whole house. It's like, where are we going to put these toilet rolls? No idea. But the thing is,
Mum worked for Seabrook Crisps when she was a teenager.
Oh, wow. They are still going and they're very nice. They are crinkle cut, Jonathan, and they do prawn cocktail, which is my all-time favourite. What's your all-time favourite? I always think you like
cheese
beef.
Cheese and onion.
Oh, cheese and onion. Yeah, I'm not fond of the other, but prawn cocktail, absolutely perfect. No, the towel shortage that we'd managed to generate was that everything that comes through the door, we're wiping down. So we needed towel. So the towel on the top of that, keeping Lola away from it. But that had already been washed on the way in.
You know what's under that towel?
What's under the towel?
Because I put the towel in the wash.
Go on.
Your credit card bill.
Oh, lovely. So that's there as well. And we can just see chicken. If you're wondering where chicken is in the photo. Chicken is there, just under Lola's head. So this is the kind of insanity we get up to when we're doing... the week at MacBites headquarters. Good evening, Charles. Good to have you with us. So that was Lola sorted. We then went on to Wednesday. By Wednesday, another order had arrived, but don't panic, the toilet rolls are the same ones. And we'd got dog food. So I was upstairs thinking, shall I bother going downstairs? And as you can see from that, it's a net view thing. That's one of the cameras at Lola Cams. And I looked at it and I thought, if I go downstairs, that lot might fall all over me. And the other problem is, look at the dog fur. I might have to sweep up. So I decided to leave it totally alone and went into Thursday. Thursday, of course, the most important thing was it was clap for carers. We have tambourines for carers. We felt clapping wasn't making enough of a noise. Lola came out to supervise, but she was very, very clever. Good evening, Simon. If you look, let me show you, that bit there she is guarding that cable, which is where the internet comes into the house. So she was on duty, making sure that everything was absolutely fine. Look at her. She's gorgeous. Also on Thursday, we'd been waiting. You remember that magazine? The one that Mike got an article in last year. It's always a competition, isn't it, between circles as to who can get the most in. Well, it started off on the homepage, as you can see there, the front cover. That's our circle. They're 2 people from our circle. Mike turned over to the next page. They're 2 people from our circle. Hello, Paul. an entire article. Yes, that's me and Mike. Oh, look at that. Look at the age of us. There we are. Oh, my word. And that lot is all our mates and their weddings. Now, this one's not a wedding. This one was actually, they got dressed up for the evening when we had our end of year party. So this article's written about our end of year party and how we decided we'd just take it online. And when we took it online, it was somebody's wedding anniversary and we were playing songs for their wedding anniversary and people started sharing pictures of their weddings. So, you know the wonderful Nina, the amazing Nina and all her dog food? That's Nina getting married in 1974. I think it was 74. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's move on. Okay, there's some of the others. Look at the age of them. In fact, these two here, that one and that one, same people. Unbelievable. Although he does have the tash on, but it's a fake tash. Real tash in the first one, fake tash in the next one. So what a fantastic night that was. And it carried on. Here's some more. Now, you won't know any of those, but we do. And it's like, no way. So the article was it a 3-page article you got? He was very pleased. But not satisfied with that, I said, let's do one about Zoom and the benefits of it. So 2 articles, 1 issue. All about how what Zoom is, how it works, etc. So quite happy at that point. He got the front cover. He had the inside contents. He had 2 full articles. And that was when he stumbled across that one, which is from another circle. That one is the Wilmslow Circle, who said the whole process was made painless thanks to the expertise of Mike Thomas from Brooklyn Circle. So full house, I think, Mike. I don't think you could get more mentions in 1 issue than that. Very well done, Mike.
It's Anzac Day.
Oh, it's Anzac Day.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then, today, look what arrived. We had a whole conversation, in fact, from memory, I think it was an entire show, taken up with towels. Towels we thought were £1 each for a hand towel, but they've gone up to £4. Amazing that, isn't it? Now we're all washing our hands 20,000 times a day. Yeah. So I said I'm not paying that if I never have one. So we went on Amazon and we had a look and we couldn't find any exactly the same as we'd got, but those were the nearest we could get. They were on back order till the middle of sometime never. They pulled back and they said they'd arrive on Monday, but they arrived today. So you can all now stand easy. We have hand towels. And that was our week. Let me know about your week in the chat. We're all discussing the amazing bread that we witnessed today on Marooned at MacBites headquarters. It was amazing. Right, let's have a look at Vivaldi then. Update to Vivaldi. Vivaldi is like an alternative browser. Most people tend to use Chrome, Safari, maybe Firefox, although Graham's not with us and he's a Firefox user. Let me know what browser you use in the chat. No hiding it. Come on, share. But what happened with Vivaldi was, I like my browsers. I like all of my browsers. And at the last count, I think I had 12. What I do with them is share dedicated jobs. And Vivaldi is the browser that I have to host my Notion setup. So that's why Vivaldi is important to me. Well, this week, version 3 came out. Now, I was really taken with this idea because it had a couple of features that, it's got features already that are quite unique. It is well worth trying as a secondary browser. But these were really unique. So what they've done now is they've put a clock in the status bar. And as I looked at the title of that, I yawned. Probably pretty much like you're doing now. But when I read it and had a look at it, I thought, whoa, that actually has some use. So we'll have a look at that one. And then the other thing was what they brought out in version 3, which was the big feature, was pop-out video. And the pop-out video was great. The only problem with it was once you'd popped it out, you couldn't go backwards and forwards. They fixed it. So let's go and have a look. So I'm reading here who's got what. Firefox works fine for me. Me too, Charles. Firefox is my primary one. So, Jonathan's getting scientific with it here. Let me get something up on the screen so you're not staring at nothing at all. There we go. Right, so Jonathan says Safari for personal, Firefox for main business and Chrome for one business application. Another one on Firefox. Yay! Vivaldi, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari and iCab and a few others. That's an amazing lot. Greg likes Safari for just about everything. I used to do that. When I first moved to a Mac, I did too. Kim's got Firefox, Safari and Vivaldi. And let's have a look. Peter's got Safari mostly, Firefox or Chrome when pages don't work. I actually found today I couldn't get a video playing in one of my browsers, so I had to go back to Chrome for that. Right, well, this is Vivaldi. Now, good thing in it for me is I like the split screen, and I like the fact that I can control it with shortcut keys. So everything I'm doing here, I'm doing with a shortcut key. So Command and / brings up the status bar. And some of the things on the status bar, you actually have the ability to toggle on and off a sidebar. So you have a panel. I have mine over here. You've got your times, what you've got here. You've got other things you can load into it. So I have like Google Keep for quick notes. I also have Roam in there and my downloads. So that I absolutely love. And I can control that completely with a shortcut key, which brings it back, takes it away.
Rita wants to know if you can get it on the iPad.
They are moving on to mobile. They have literally this week just released the Android version, so it should be with us soon. It does have the concept of an account, so everything that you see, when you've set it up on one machine, you can log into your account and then the second install looks exactly the same as the first. One thing it didn't support was what you're looking at now, which is something called speed dial. And I have that in every browser, and there's an extension for it in every browser, including Chrome, and Vivaldi uses Chrome extensions. But Speed Dial 2 doesn't work. So what I've done with it instead is logged in, and you can see here that it actually defaults the page to the Speed Dial 2 homepage. So normally if I'm in something like, let's go to Firefox, which is on the other page, with my shopping in it. Oh yes, I need to set an alarm for that, don't I, Mike, or it isn't going to happen. Alarm 1 minute to midnight. Oh yes, we're going to try for a slot. Right, I'm going into Firefox to show you what Firefox actually looks like. That's what that normally looks like. Right, so it doesn't have a URL in it. It says search with Google or enter an address.
Kim wants to know what speed dial is.
Speed dial is what gives me these little blocks here. It's a way, it's a bookmark manager. But instead of the bookmarks being in your bookmarks bar, etc., it's actually like a jump off point that loads into it. And I then have it. You're not limited to just what you've got shown there, which is basically a random collection, to be honest. You have these across the top, so you have tabs as well. So all the stuff to manage the marooned files and the client area are in there. I have ones that I use when I need to upload the parish newsletter, all ready and waiting, ready to go. I've got WordPress installations and stuff like that. I've got Notion files, all sorts. So you have groupings across the top, pretty much on the home page most of the time for me. And then each of these is an individual bookmark. So if I wanted to go to MacBites, I just click on the square. You can configure how many of those are shown in what kind of configuration you want. And that's how it works. But Vivaldi doesn't support it. That would have been a problem. So what I did was just made my speed dial account bookmarks the homepage, and then it works exactly the same. So it's got a white background instead of a dark one, but all of the bookmarks are the same. And if I change those in one browser, they automatically get added to the other browsers and updated. Right, but showing you a couple of these features. So across here, one thing I did use this week, and it worked brilliantly, was when I took, in fact, I can go in and show you. When I took these, don't disappear, as you were. That you're looking at there and that were part of the improvement page. So I wanted to take screenshots. And let's just imagine I wanted to take some screenshots of this, that I was going to do some kind of tutorial on it. Down here, you have the ability from within your browser to take a capture. Either the full page, a section, and then you get to choose how you save it. So if I wanted to save this as a clipboard, which I actually did, then I hit capture. It lets me draw around it. And depending on what I've selected to do, so it lets me stop, lets me have a think about it, and then hit the button. And then it will give me a message that says that's on your clipboard. You can't see that message because I've got my notifications turned off at the moment, but normally you would. And if we went somewhere like, should we just go to pages? And yes, whatever. Right. No, not a school report. We just got basic. There we go. And then I'll paste it in. And that's what was captured to the clipboard. So it's a great browser to start with. A couple of things that they've added to it are what I'm actually going to be looking at, which is keep going across here. One of the things I mentioned was the ability that if I've got two things open, this is one of my favourite things. So sometimes I need to have the chat open, if the chat's open on MacBites, and I want to have something else open as well. So let's look at that there. You can make sure that you select the first one, shift select the second one, and you should see at the top here, you get like a hashed thing all the way around it with blue and grey hashes, which activates this thing at the bottom, which is page tiling, which means you can have them side by side. So if I wanted to see that chat, it would normally be under here, underneath the player, and I could carry on another page. So how I actually use that, I might put in this side Notion or Roam, and in this side on the left, put a video that I'm watching, and then I can make notes while I'm watching the video in a single window. So just absolutely love it. It even remembers that. So when I go to another page, so let's go to, what free books have we got at the moment? There we go. Oh, nice. Haven't got that one. Right. It remembers that this one and this one are glued together, but this one isn't. And of course, you can then unglue them if you want. Most of the time, I have the status bar completely hidden. But for this, I'm not going to. So it's down here. And at the very corner, right over here, we have the clock. The page tiling is fabulous. It works brilliantly. But I mean, you're not even just limited to the page tiling. You also have a sidebar. So the sidebar is different again than the page tiling. Can you use them both together? That would be a point, wouldn't it? Yes, you can. So in essence, you can get three. So this is the sidebar on the right hand side. The other two are 2 pages. So if I wanted to have 2 pages that I'm reading notes from or whatever, so maybe I've got a video in one, notes in another, and I want to take a note, I can even do that. And again, I'm doing all of this with shortcut keys that I've configured. Right, so onto this page. I was saying, is Vivaldi built on Chromium? Yes, it is. So it works pretty much. I've not found many sites that don't work 100% with it. Let's put it like that. Maybe 1 or 2, but not much. But the clock thing down here is what we're looking at. So you click on the clock and you can decide whether you have that, what kind of format you have it, and whether you use it, in what way you use it. So initially it just sits there and it's a clock, and you think, why would I want a clock? Because I've got a clock at the top of the screen and that one's even smaller. But the thing with this one is, if you were taking this browser full screen, which I personally loathe, where's the view full page thing? Can't be doing with it, hate it. But now you haven't got a clock, but you have in here because it's at the bottom. So that's the first thing with the clock. You can then go in and choose whether it's a countdown clock or an alarm clock. Now it's displaying differently and you can set it up. So if we had it as a countdown and you want to say to yourself, I mean, you've even got the option here of a Pomodoro, which automatically sets it to 25 minutes. And you can then start that. And it tells you are 24 minutes, however many seconds into your Pomodoro. Who knows what a Pomodoro is? Mike?
It's a tomato.
I know it's a tomato. Anything else?
Yeah, it's a timer that's shaped like a tomato.
A Pomodoro is the name. It's Italian for tomato, isn't it? Mm. It's a productivity methodology whereby you work for 25 minutes and then you break for 10. Now, sometimes people work for 25, maybe they work for 15 or they work for 50. Whatever amount of time works for them, and then you take a break. And there's a concept of short breaks between Pomodoros, which is like a concentrated length of effort that you're putting in. Short breaks are long breaks. So it's usually Pomodoro short break, Pomodoro short break, Pomodoro, and then either a long break and then into another Pomodoro, or a short break, Pomodoro, and then a long break. all depends on what works for you, but the concept remains the same. It's just incredibly flexible. So that actually gives you a way of doing it just in your browser down there. Right, well, let's come out of that. You can choose whether it's a Pomodoro or whether it's a break. So let's say you want to go into a break and do a start. And now it says you're on a break, and a break is 5 minutes. So they are just ways to keep track of what it is that you're actually up to. Right, but you can also do other things. So let's get rid of these so they're not in there. So we've got rid of those. You can have it set on an alarm. So a good one to do, if I was having this open all the time, and obviously it depends on you having it open, is when I have my 1 minute to midnight, let's all try and check out and get a slot manoeuvre. I could actually set an alarm for it. Or I could just do a countdown. So if I wanted a countdown, but I just wanted it for sort of a random amount of time, like 9 minutes, I can give it a name if I want. So let's say it's a webinar that I'm running and I want a reminder. And you just hit start and it says 8 minutes to your webinar. Which was way more than I was expecting. When it said there was a clock, I literally yawned. But then I saw it and thought, wow, I'm loving that. And of course you can then get rid of all the alarms you've got set, which is pretty cool. Now, let me just try one thing. Yep, I think in there, you can start your countdown from the right click rather than going in and doing it. So you can make it a break or a Pomodoro. You can have a new alarm, and these are saved. So it says lunch or a meeting. You can change the style of it. So at the moment it's text only. But if we go for image and text, you can see you get a little clock that says it's 28 minutes past. So let's change that back to, well, and you can also have it just with the time on. So if you'd rather it look like a clock face, you can do that, which I think is a little bit on the tiny side, but that's just my opinion. So let's change it back to text only. Right, other options you've got in here are to have it where it's showing the name or just the time. And the notification sound, at the moment there's none, but you could have ding, rooster and ta-da. I mean, who wouldn't? Then you've got whether you show the seconds or not, which initially it wasn't doing. That would actually be quite useful for me when I'm starting a show. Because I'm always bang on time, aren't I, Mike?
You are.
I am. So I actually have a clock on my desk with the seconds on. So that would be particularly useful for me. And then you can choose whether it shows the date or not. And all of that would be in the status bar at the bottom. So again, it would be incredibly useful when you have this full screen, because you've got everything that you would have in your menu bar at the top, but you'd have it at the bottom and you've got your browser full screen. Who's liking that? Does the clock work when you are in another application? It does, but I think it does need to be open. So if we came out of that, which I think is that, is it useless going full screen? I absolutely hate full screen. Let's come out of full screen. So if we minimise that and came back to it in a couple of seconds. So what's live now is, let's go back to Firefox. Right, Firefox is live right now. Firefox also has, while we have a think about it, let's go to YouTube, my channel. There we go. Firefox also has this other browsery thing. So it's telling me I'm live right now. That's good to know, isn't it? Right, if I click on one of these, and it will start playing. So let me take the volume down. As I hover over this, I get this blue thing, which is picture in picture. So Firefox actually had it first, and that means I can then go elsewhere and this thing will just carry on hovering. I can take it up in size, take it down in size, but basically it will hover over everything else. You even get a little indication up there. That symbol means that that page is popped out. You can then do one of two things with this. You can either tell it to just write, I don't want to watch that anymore, but your browser stays where it is. But there is another way. So if I pop that out again and then go to a different page, if you use that one instead of the cross, so this one down here, that will pop it back in and take you to the page in your browser where that video is. But as you saw, once you pop it out, there is a play button and a pause button, but that's it, because it's supposed to be like a very lightweight thing. Now, that's what it does in Firefox. which was so we could see that the clock, etc., was still working. So yes, it does. Right, where's the other page? That's the one there. Right. Now, we need to go to the same place in here. So it's a good job that I've got that bookmark thing going on where I can go to YouTube and just click on my channel, which is exactly what I did in the other one. It's so old, it's got the wrong URL for it. It works, but that's the old one. That also works, and that's the right one. So, there you go, same place. Right, so let's get the same video up, and we'll mute that on here as well. Don't want deafening. And on here, it's at the top. So it's a slightly different look to it. It's not as in your face. The blue one, you really see it. But in Vivaldi, it's just that. And then it says playing picture in picture. It looks identical in terms of, there it is. And you have your cross button to pop you back in. You also have that one there, which will take you back to where you were. So let's pop that out. And let's go to the podcast. And let's do that. That takes you back in, but it doesn't take you to the page. Whereas the other one does. So let's try the other way of doing it and see if that pops you back in. They both pop you back in, but in my opinion, this one should take you to the page, and it doesn't. So they're both doing exactly the same job at the moment. Right, so we've got the play button, and it will start to play. But see what happens if you try and move it? This isn't a scrubbable playhead, it's just to show you where you're at. But if you use your arrow keys, you can see it whizzing through. You can also see in the background where it's saying playing picture in picture, it's waiting. So it's buffering. So I'm trying to get quite a bit of the way in, so we get past that just playing. There we go. I must have gabbed on for quite a bit. There we go. So the video's playing. And I can go backwards and I can go forwards just using the arrow keys, which to me is fantastic. I'm loving that. That's great. So that's actually got more features than the other one now. So two big features in it, the clock and all of the alarms and all of the rest of it, which is incredibly useful, and the new controls for playing video. But as you saw as well, the way it does the split screen and the way that you can have a sidebar as well. Many browsers have sidebars, but they're just not configurable enough. They might do just one thing. I thought Firefox was great with its sidebar. It came as an extension, a labs test, and I loved it. But it's nowhere near as powerful as Vivaldi. Nowhere near. There's no real downside to Vivaldi, I wouldn't say. As I say, I use it as the host for Notion, but to be honest, I live in Notion, so I am in it all day, every day. If we have a look at this, which is how I have it configured. So how meta, that's today's show. There you go. Right, up across the top here, I've got all of the things that they're pinned. So all of these are pinned. There is today's marooned, day 40. Oh look, MacBites 125 and 126, that's what we like. So those are what I use. They're pinned. Every week or so they get changed as to which ones are pinned, depending on what I'm actually doing, what I'm focusing on. But I have all of the surrounding tools to support me in what I need to do, because if I need to see something in a sidebar at the same time as I'm watching a video or reading something in Notion, I can do that. And this week I installed the new version. I got a page telling me what the new features were, and that was when I used the options at the bottom in my status bar, which is not coming up. There we go. There's my status bar. All right, I seem to have things conflicting there. I've got my status bar, and that was where how I took the pictures. That's frightened Jonathan, isn't it? That's woken him up. Mention of not one show, but two. My word. You never know. Remember, Jonathan, when does a show come out? When you least expect it. Right, okay, let's get that out of the way. And half of this shut up as well. Now I've got far too many tabs open. Oh no. No, I don't need any of those, do I? So let's close all of those down. Right, Keynote's acting up again, Mike. Gotta love Keynote. Right, next one. Creating step-by-step tutorials. Right, this was mentioned because last week I talked about the fact that there was an update to Clarify. Now, Clarify was a tool we talked about before, and the only reason I was mentioning it was there was an update out to it, but you had to do it manually. There was absolutely zero indication there was any kind of update at all. And it was important, seeing as though it's actually in beta. Now, the other thing to think about with Clarify was it is RIP. It is end of life, which is most unfortunate because for years and years, I've used one of about 3 or 4 different apps that the sole function of the apps is to create step-by-step tutorials. That's it. You know, does one thing, does it great. So the kind of things we're talking about are where you've probably got a series of screenshots and a small amount of text to explain what you're doing. Obviously, if this is an epic thing that needs a book to explain it, then this is not the way to go. But for many years, I had the need to do that. And we pretty much used Word, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And it was horrible. It was. Because the graphics moved and the text moved and it wasn't great. So when we moved to a Mac, I found this app called Screen Steps. And I found it when it was in alpha. We're talking 2006. It was the halcyon days of working on a Mac. It was cross-platform. It was built on Java, although that wasn't necessarily a good thing, because it lacked the native feel, but it did the job. What it did was allowed you to take a screenshot or a series of screenshots, and it would put them together and allow you to add text underneath them, beside them, whatever. It would also let you annotate the screenshots. So what it did was like 3 things. Take the screenshots, annotate them and add the text to them, and then output the content. And to replace that, any other app needed to do the same thing. What happened was Screen Steps turned into a subscription service that cost an absolute fortune. Literally hundreds of pounds a month. So they had another application called Clarify, same company, and it did the same job, except there were bits that obviously Screen Steps did that Clarify didn't. But could you swap from one to another? Yes. For basic stuff, yes. But there hadn't been an update in a long time, and you could see the way it was going, and that was the way it was going, and in the end they announced it was end of life. It was going into maintenance mode. The problem was it was a 32-bit app, so if they didn't make it 64-bit, it wasn't going to be working on Catalina. So they brought out a beta, and that was what we looked at last week. So that you could actually still use it. But I was on the lookout for something else because I knew it was end of life, and that was when I found Stepshot Guides. Stepshot Guides, brilliant. It did exactly the same job. The developers were very keen on adding functionality to it, so it got great updates. It was fantastic. I had a lifetime license. I was a happy bunny. And then they sold it off to somebody else, which would have been fine, only the people who bought it, all their applications are Windows only. So they stopped the Mac development. Less than pleased I was. So I could either carry on using Clarify until it no longer works at all, or I could think about trying to find something else. Now, I haven't found anything else. Not that does the entire job, but what I needed to do was sit down and work out what exactly is the entire job, because if I don't define what the entire job involves, then I might get taken to one side by shiny because there's something else that might do part of the job. So the first thing it needed to do was capture your screen. Simple as that. Now, there's capturing your screen and there's capturing your screen. Even that isn't simple. Is it the whole of the screen? Do you want to take a section of the screen? Do you want the ability to take a window? Do you need to capture menus? So even when you're thinking of just taking a screen capture, there's lots of things to think about. You might get away with fairly basic. So as we discussed last week, don't just think I'll dive into it and that'll be that. You know, I'll have to have every conceivable way to capture it, you might get away with the built-in stuff. The built-in stuff actually has one thing that my screen capture tool of choice doesn't have, which is it can take a repeat capture. But point being, when you think about screen capture, don't just say, oh yes, it can capture the screen. Actually sit and think, hang on a minute, what does it do and what doesn't it do? And what may I need to supplement this with? The next thing it needed, so whatever this solution is to replace all of the ones that have died on me, literally every single one died, was the ability to annotate those screenshots. Not just in terms of putting arrows on them, but the biggest thing that Screen Steps, Step Shot Guides and Clarify all did was when you put a number on it, and then you put another number on. So you're basically saying, click this button first, click this button second, and then third, click OK. That kind of thing. When you added another one or deleted one, so say I deleted step 2, they would renumber themselves. That was an amazing time saver. Now, nothing that you can buy is going to do that now. Nothing at all, sadly. Snagit can number things, but it's nowhere near as flexible. It doesn't renumber things. So if you're thinking about wanting to do something like this and replacing it with something, that's one of the things. You decide how important that is to you. Is that hugely important to me? No, but only because I break my step-by-step guides down into such steps that I would never have one image that needed to have 15 steps on it that then needed reordering. But it would be a huge benefit to me if it auto-numbered. That would be brilliant. But sadly, can't find one that does. The next thing is, what output do you want? Now, this is the fly in the ointment at the moment. Spoiler alert, this is one of the major problems. I want to be able to output to PDF because 9 times out of 10, it's something I'm sending to somebody to show them how to do something, and I want it self-contained. I want it as a PDF that I can attach to an email, that they receive, they open, they read, and they do. And hopefully don't bother me about it again. So a PDF is absolutely fine. But right back in 2006, what Screen Steps could do was produce output to a website. So you could take your step-by-step tutorial and you could publish it to WordPress. That was amazing. It was amazing back then. It's like magic to me now. The two of those are important. Now, the ability to send it to a Word file or a rich text or whatever is less significant to me. If it did those two, I could live with it. It'd be nice if it did Word, but not really overly bothered. So those, when I said break it down into 3 areas, those were the 3 areas. The capture, the annotating and the output. And I need to find something that will do all of that. And that was where I came to a grinding halt. And the problem was that there isn't anything that does that. It's as simple as that. So starting at part 1, which is the screen capture. However you capture stuff doesn't matter, but just have a way that works for you. So I said to you, I just happen to be in Vivaldi, and Vivaldi just happens to be able to capture the thing itself and send it to the clipboard, and that was the way that I did it. But most of the time, I'm working in Snagit. So that's just the one that I choose. But as we looked at last week, there's some... yeah, we don't really want to be looking at that, do we? Because that's freebies. That's this week's freebies. But this is what I use, and it's got an entire range of tools. It does have the ability to number. So if you look on the toolbar, and if that's not there, then you've got tools available from up here as well. So you get image editing and text tools, share, the whole works. They're all available up there. But what I do is put the whole lot across that menu bar there, that toolbar. Right, in here, these are your numberings. So this one, which happens to be a black on orange, has a star next to it, which means it's one of my favourites. Which means if I click on my favourites, I've got favourites in here. So I've got all that the favourites are like basically your pick of all the tools you've got. And I tend to number in red. So if I click on that tool and I say, right, up there, step 1, and then there is step 2, then pretty much I've done what I would do in any of the others. Issue being, like I said, that if I go back and I grab number 2 and I delete it, number 2's just missing. I now have 1, 3 and 4. If that was step shot, if that was step shot, guys, clarify or screen steps, that would automatically have updated. So 3 would become 2 and 4 would become 3. But it doesn't in here. That's the problem with it. So probably the easiest way to do it would just be to go through and delete them and start again. All right, and see what happens. It then says 5. This isn't good. Even trying to get back can be a problem. Might work if you click away and click back. Nope, you're still getting 6. There must be a way to renumber it. You'd like to think, wouldn't you? Can I do that? No, it's still doing that even when I do that. So that's the problem with it. You can go back to this image down the line and re-edit it. So if you wanted to put something on it that you did want to edit, like pointing up to there, and of course that's a 2-headed arrow and I don't want a 2-headed arrow. I want a 1-headed arrow. So let's take that one off. Would be better, of course, if I took the right one off. That makes no sense to me. It should be the other way around. So you can do all of this and you can edit it. You can go away to other images and come back to this image and then say, do you know what? It could do with being yellow. And you can change it. And go in here, you can change any of these. So whatever you want it to be, you can make it. And that remains editable. Problem is, it's just slower. It's a lot slower. I'll do this demo, I'll do it in Clarify and then I'll do it manually. There are benefits to doing it manually, I won't deny that, but it does take longer. And you still will have problems. But that's one way of doing the screen caps. So I'm going to leave that to the side. All right, we'll open Clarify, show you the way that Clarify would do it. Just want a new empty Clarify file. You're thinking about it, jolly good. Right, this just does everything all in one. So first thing I need to do, I need to get my system preferences up because I'm going to show you, the tutorial I'm doing is, how do I make it happen when I hover over something and do that, that you see that? And it's part of the preferences in here. Right, so I would put some stuff in like, using the system preferences option to zoom. And then I would put in what that's about. Now, the about would be something like the whole story. I used to use zoom it, but now use...
It's not subscription, is it?
What?
Snag, it's not subscription.
No, there's a maintenance contract for £12 a year. Right, so that's a description of it. But the next step is, okay, how do you get to the system preferences? So I'm looking to add a step. And up here, I can capture an image. So I'm going to click on it over here. There's my countdown. And now what I want to do is just capture round there. And you're misbehaving, but never mind. Right, so I'm going to draw around it. Okay, that'll do nicely. And capture it. And it has put that in there with a new step. It even says, it's giving you a window, right? So that is, well, that would be Open System Preferences. Okay, and then there's the paragraph text. So you just write the instructions. So first step is to open the system preferences. Right. Now, the next step. And at this stage, I'd have a think about, okay, yeah, I can do that and get to the right place in one maneuver in here. And this is the benefit of it. So open system preferences and access the accessibility settings. Right. If only I could spell, I'd be dangerous. Right. Now, to do that, I need to explain where it is. So first step is to open the system preferences, right? And then put in second step, access the accessibility. I've done it again, haven't I? Clearly got a blind spot. No, accessibility. Accessibility. I'm right, aren't I? Yeah, I'm right. Access the accessibility settings. Right, and then I'm going to put that after it, which says 1. What's that all about? Because there's nothing on here. Well, once I click the image, my tools change up here. My default is the step sequence, and I'll just hover near it, and there it is. That's hideous. It's got a horrible background on it. Let's just take that away. Let's not have that at all. Or we could have white. Yellow. Yellow looks pretty decent. So that'll put a yellow around it. It changes the text. And you can decide how much of a yellow, like that. Or you can take it down to none, and now you've got yellow text. You could then go into there and choose white. That would change your text to white. And you would have a white border if you cranked that up. All right. So there's the first step. Now, the thing is, if I had second steps and third steps, and then decide I don't want that, you can see that does change from 3 to 2. This is fabulous. Why are they killing it? Right, so I've got my 1 step. I'll put that wherever I want it, and this remains editable. I can go in and do that. Right, the next thing then, what happens next? Well, they'll have clicked that, and then we'll need to talk about that. Right, okay. So I need to go into my preferences and actually click on the accessibility. That would be good. And then I need another screenshot. So click on that, it gives me the 2-minute countdown. That will do nicely. Draw around that. That looks great. And then that will go in, and that will be the next step. So in here it will be accessibility settings. I got it right that time. Right, now once you're in here, what do you need to do? Well, to access the zoom settings, you need to click on there. So if we put a 1 next to it, you could draw attention to it in other ways. You could put an arrow on it and then just say what you want them to do. So click the zoom option. And then I always put after it what step number that is. So you can see with mine, because I separate them out, it doesn't matter too much whether I've got lots and lots of numbers. Right, what happens once they've clicked that? Well, let's have a look. When you click zoom, you're into it. Right, well, let's have another picture of that then. So out here again, activate the window, wait for the countdown, and draw around it. Now there's different things I need to do, but that'll look good for that one. And what I'm going to do in here is say, in this one, click to access the zoom settings. Right, and where do I need to click? Well, I need to click on there, don't I? So back in here and click on there. Now that will then take you in here. Hello, Neil. Oh, he missed the access bit, didn't he?
He did.
That would be bad of us to say that, wouldn't it? He'll wind it back now and have a look. Good morning, Neil. Good morning. Peter's got you completely beaten. It's 4 AM and he's in Oz too. Right, so you would be clicking on the zoom, and then the zoom style would be there. So you'd be looking at that zoom style. So you might want it there, or if you're telling them to click it, you might want it there. And all you then do is put more text explaining it, etc. Now I'm going to do one more image, which is I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to click that. And that gives me a problem, doesn't it? I wanted to leave that open, so either I didn't give it long enough. Let's come back out. Let's try again. Let's make it a bit longer. I'll make it 4 seconds. And let's see if I can actually capture that. Yes, I can. So it was me. So I get the menu in the right place so we can see the options. Capture that. Yeah, go on, capture it. And it puts that in. So what I would be doing in this one is say something like, choose your preferred setting. I've then explained what the settings are, and then in here I would point out that on there we've got one option, and on there we've got the other, which would probably work nicely with an arrow. So one is full screen and one is picture in picture. But you see how easy that is to do. You've got one application, it's taking the screenshots, it's letting you annotate them, and then you've got the fabulous bit of getting it out. So I'm just going to put some text in here, which is choose your preferred setting, full screen, picture in picture. Is that a P? One capital P, one small p, that'd be right. Okay. Now after that, I would then put the 1 in brackets or the 2 in brackets. Right, we've got something to output at that point. Now, this was the third step. So you've moved on from capture. You've annotated, that's step 2. 3 is exporting it. And you have share options. And I've got one set up there, which is to a PDF. And I'm just going to save it to the desktop. Now, at this stage, think about what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the output here to a PDF. But what I didn't have to think about was the size of it, scaling it, formatting it, putting the name at the bottom, the header, the footer, the page numbers. Didn't have to think about anything like that. It did it itself. And what it would enable you to do is, if you go into the preferences, in your PDF templates, you could make your own. You could use, so I don't know which one I was using there. What a brown, no, it'd be that one. It'd be the brown one for All Saints School because that's their colours. Right, but that's corporate, that's Chrome, that's black and white, that's basic. So if I wanted it with that basic one, I just send it to that. I don't have to add it up there. Ah, you used to click on there. Let's see if we can export it. Format. Come on. Manage the sharing accounts. Which takes me into here, and what I want to do is see it. Ah, there it is. It was an account that I'd set up, so hence the PDF template. But if I wanted to try that corporate one, I can change that there. These are all the settings that you get to sort yourself out in here. And then share it. Are you having to think about it? Or is that reconfigured that, which it should do? So let's make that number 2. And I haven't changed anything in the source file. What I'm hoping is that the output looks different. So come along. Don't see it. What have you done with it? There we go. What on earth have you done it in there for? Right. So there's the PDF. It's exactly the same source material, completely different output. And that is where the power of an application like Clarify, Screen Steps or Step Shot Guides comes from. That you have this source file in the application, but when you send it out in any kind of different format you like. Not even just PDFs. You can also send, now I'm not going to configure this because obviously this is dead, which is the problem, but you can send it out to WordPress as well. So what we're trying to replicate is that, and that's the problem. Why are you wandering around and moving on the floorboards?
I'm stretching.
You're stretching?
Stretching my legs.
Did you get the wine?
No.
Oh, it's not got any wine yet. My word. Right, so basically we need to replicate that. And there isn't a way. But we need a way. So we'll try and MacGyver a way. One option that I thought through. So I might even let you choose which one I do. Oh, might work well. Right, I've decided that I've analysed the whole situation and there are 3 things I needed to do. Capture, edit, publish. The trickiest of those is publishing, which I will explain why. But the first 2, there are other ways to do it. You need a way to capture the images. Well, you've got the built-in options, which are Command-Shift-3, Command-Shift-4, Command-Shift-5. Command-Shift-5 is actually pretty decent, because what you can do with that is move this window around your window like that, and then decide what you want to do with it. So you've got your options in here of what you want to do with it. So save to desktop, documents, wherever you want to save it to. You can save it to another one. Right? So that's one way. There's not much in the way of annotation on here, but you do have options. So you've got your entire screen, recordings, etc. But once you've captured it, you could choose to open it up and edit it straight away. Or you could put them in a folder somewhere and think about it later. Actually, this isn't a bad way to go, because the one thing this can do that Snagit can't do is take a screenshot of the same area of the screen repeatedly. So if I just capture that now, but back in here I go to the general and then I want to capture it again, I can bring up my capture and it automatically goes to the same place, so I can capture it again. So don't rule out the built-in one, but the other option is something like Snagit. I'm going to go the Snagit way, and I'm going to keep it fairly simple in here, which is I have a shortcut to use Snagit. Right, that's it. So that's my first capture. There's my second capture when it's gone to that. So I'm using a shortcut key and it's capturing it. So the two that I had and the other one was the whole thing, wasn't it? So let's just capture that. So I've got 3 captures and they're in Snagit. So the capture part is dealt with. In fact, what you've got in here, you can make work to your advantage. In terms of, these are the 3 that I'm working with. And you can work project-based really easily by... I thought it would let you select, there we go. So I've got 3 selected. When I right click, you can say close the other captures. What it's talking about is all of these that are over here that are actually nothing to do with it. So I'm going to close the other captures. You've not lost them. They are in your library. What that thumbnail track is at the bottom is like a working area. Think of it as like a desktop area for you to work in. So it closed. That was brilliant, wasn't it? I said close the other, so it closed the entire lot, not the 3 that I had selected, but never mind, because they are in the library. Here they are. The library's huge, so it will take it a second to load, but they are in the library. She said, there they are. So there they are. So if I want to open these, let's we just do that. There they are. They're the 3 that I need. So these are the 3 that I'm working on. So what I would do in here is go in and put the annotations in. So first of all, I had the step number. Now this isn't particularly the step number that I want, because you can have different quick styles. This is the one that I want. So once I've got it selected, I want to say click on zoom. And this one was clicking on accessibility. So do that in there. And this one, oh no, that one was saying click on zoom, wasn't it? Click on zoom there. So let me put that next to that. This one was talking about this bit down here, that your zoom styles are down there. Right, so what's going on here about red or white wine? Honestly, the lot of you. And can you hear me? That's water. There's a bottle of brew. What, like smelly stuff?
Yeah, brew. What was it called?
Splash it all over.
Was it Route 66? Oh, that's Route 66.
I'm showing my age now. Jonathan will have no clue what you're talking about.
The one Kevin Keegan used to advertise.
Oh, and Henry Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Right, so I'm talking about annotating these images, but how can I concentrate when you're getting blind drunk?
I'm not getting blind drunk.
Oh, my word. Right, so I've done the annotations. Now, the good thing with this is, you may notice, and that's why I like this, if I'm saying click on accessibility, where's the mouse pointer? There isn't one. No, because I have it capture without the mouse pointer, but you'll notice in my favourites, have a mouse pointer. So I can just stamp my mouse pointer on and say click on accessibility, and I add that in post, literally, which I love. So the annotation part, Snagit is more than capable. The default stuff is more than capable. There are a million apps that are more than capable. But you still got to get the content from here to where it's going to live. So the next part, that's part 1 out of the way. We've captured. Part 2, how are we going to assemble it? What should we assemble it in? Now, I want you to tell me, what would you assemble it in and why? Some of the options that I have used are Keynote, PowerPoint, Pages. What would you assemble it in and why? Raffle it. Hey, I actually won the last raffle. I won a bottle of some
Whiskey.
50-year-old whiskey or something.
Yeah, it's downstairs. It's your pension.
I believe it's worth a fortune, but I'm just thinking hand sanitizer.
Yeah, it's worth a fortune, exactly.
Exactly. Oh, everyone was really peeved that I won
wouldn't
that.
say that to the certain Catenians.
No, they were really peeved I won it because I am the only teetotal Catenian, and I won the prize. Right, come on, wakey, guys. What would you assemble it in and why? I've given you a couple of ideas. Is there any reason that you would put it somewhere else? I need to know. I also need to know what your thinking is on that. Why are you thinking the app that you're thinking? So I'd said Pages, you could use Word. You could use TextEdit if you were really desperate. What else did I say? PowerPoint, Keynote. All manner of apps depends on need, all that you mentioned. Oh, Deborah. Spot on, but that's not on. Okay, Jonathan. We could make that the prize, couldn't we, over a 2-year who stays awake the most in after hours. Yeah, make it worthwhile. Well, the thing is, instead of at stage 2, which is the assembly, thinking about it. So Neil says access.
Yes, Neil, we'll get round to that.
No, he's talking about assembling it in access. Do you know you could? I've seen stuff doing exactly that. Where you create a learning management system with images and text. And then the access part of it is that you have a form and you put a tick in a box as to whether you want that included. Do you remember that? Mm. It was a company who sold a solution to do that. So, yeah, you could do. And Peter's saying Pages or Keynote. Omnigraphal or Publisher. Oh, we're getting lots of these. Jonathan says, is it Jonathan Affinity? Yeah. Now, what's driving you? Now, Kim says she just saved as a PDF. The thing is, where from, Kim? Because you've got to take the images from where they are now. You've captured them. But the next step's assembly. So you have to have something to assemble them into. Now, some PDF editors would let you do that. So PDF Expert would indeed let you start with a completely blank file. And from there, which is which in here? That's the first one. Can we drag and drop that in? You can. So if you have a certain PDF editor, yep, you could do that. And you could then put your text in because you can do your annotations up there and put some text in and then put your instructions in. So, yep, there are a million ways to do this. I'm wondering whether you're thinking long term or are you thinking short term? Because if what's in your mind at this stage is how to assemble it, you're already wrong. What you need to be thinking about, skip stage 2 and go on to stage 3. Where do you want this content in the end and in what format do you need it? Because if what you need is something on a website, you are without a paddle if you make a PDF because that's not a web page. You could upload the PDF, but if what you actually wanted, let's have a look. I'm sure I've published some of these at some point. Let's find a tutorial. When was the last one that I did, Mike? It was a while ago. It was a while ago because no apps do it anymore. That's the problem. Do we have tutorially step-by-step things? We must have somewhere. We must have. I'm not actually sure we do. Did I do it in that one? How to clip to Devon Think from Opera. I could have done. That actually could have been because there's some some screenshots, and there's some text. So I could have done it with that one. But problem being, if that's what I want to do now, with these 3 screenshots, how do they get up there if I make a PDF? The answer is they don't. So you need to leave step 2 until you've got to step 3 and thought, where do I want it? What do I want to do with it? Now, if what you want to do with it is to get it onto a website, you are without options at the moment. There aren't many apps that you just push a button and it goes up to a website. Are there, Mike?
No.
No, that's the problem we've come across. There is one. So I would be forced into using one particular app opposed to all of the others that you've mentioned if what I want is a blog post. Anybody know what that app is? It's an app where I would do exactly the same as I'm about to do in any of the other apps, but its output would go to a website and not a PDF. However, before I make my mind up, what if I wanted a PDF as well? And this was what Clarify and all the others made really easy. You just output, and you were fine. But now you've got to stop and think, what output do I want? And then I'll think about how I'm going to assemble it. So Mars Edit, that's not a bad one. Not a bad one. Mars Edit, I can actually show you Mars Edit. Mars Edit, there we go. Quark Express, somebody's desperate.
Oh, do we want a slot?
Where are we?
9th of May.
Oh, get one. Stick some dog food in or something.
Right.
It said there was a slot. Mine's just popped up and said there's a slot, but they're not. It's lying. And the number of items in the basket's just dropped from 36 to 35. Do they not realise I'm a bit busy and can't do that? Right, that's what Mars Edit looks like. Mars Edit, let's go there. It puts your blog post at the bottom. There's your content of your blog post, and you just publish it. But it would make it very, very difficult to convert it into anything else. Doesn't Pages allow you to export to HTML? Well, there's HTML and there's HTML.
Oh, can get 4 waters now.
Oh, quick, get them in there, Mike. Oh, my life's complete. If Pages does allow you to export to HTML, Tracy, which it may well do, 1, the format's going to be shocking, and 2, you would still need to manually upload the images, and that doesn't work well if it's a blog. So the app I'm thinking of will let me do both of the options. It isn't one that you would automatically think of, but it would let me produce a web page and it would let me produce a PDF. But it probably isn't one that you would think of because it's not particularly WYSIWYG, but it will do it. So the first thing, let's think about if you want a PDF. If you want a PDF, Deborah's spot on, Ulysses. Ulysses will do it for you. That will do everything for you. What it won't give you is brilliant in the way of layout, but it will work. So let's go into Ulysses. Ulysses is having a think about it. Probably shouldn't have that on there, should I? Let's get back to the... Where's my library gone?
Letting me get more. It's letting me get 10 rodeos.
Oh, the dog's going
She'll
to be a happy girl. Happy girl. Right, okay, here we go. So you can see I've already got here all of the maroons. The maroons. And these are going up to the website. The maroons. But I'm going to need something different here. So the downside of this, you start it on there. Oh, and Jonathan's in heaven because it's in setup. Do you not already use it, Jonathan? It is brilliant. It is brilliant. It's very good. I'm grandfathered onto a cheap rate because I bought the original. But it's very, very good in what it can do. The only
setup. Must get round to that.
You mustn't you? Because you're just teasing Jonathan. The thing you have to think about with this is you're not going to get much in the way of a flexible layout. And you're going to have to know how to format it. So we'd start off with what the title of the post would be on the website, or the heading 1 across the top, which from memory, what did we have that as on Clarify? Which isn't spelt like that. Where did Clarify go? Front page. I remember buying Front Page when we were in London.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get the old one open, and I'm going to use that Right, that'll do. That'll save me typing. You know, to witness my appalling things. It is very configurable output. You can personalise it quite a lot. It's great for getting it up to a blog. Absolutely fantastic. It's less flexible in the PDF stakes, but I'll show you what I mean by that. It's good enough. It's certainly good enough. So using the system preferences option to zoom. That was what we started with. Then I put some content in that was just like explanation. So that would have gone in there as text. The next thing I did was I had a heading, which was step 1. So basically that was step 1, which means it needs to have the 2 hashes at the beginning. I'm assuming here we're all fairly okay with Markdown. If we're not, let me know. Right, then I've got the rest of the text, which was the text, the explanation that went underneath there. And at that point, I need to add in the first image. So open the system preferences and accessibility settings, and that should be an A. Right, so what I've got over here is Snagit. And what I'm going to do, you can see it, is drag that from there and drop it in there. Now I know it looks tiny, let's not worry about that. You can go in here and you can put a caption in. So that should probably be the same caption as that without the settings on it. Right, without the heading on it. So put that in there, delete that. Now, should you bother putting captions on it? Well, we'll see where they appear, but you can also put titles for images and you can set a size of it. You can even export as something else, which we're not going to need. Okay. Right, so that's your first step done. So when it comes on to your second step, so I guess this could be as fast once you get used to it. There are just a couple of caveats you need to think about. So the next one is the second step. So 2 hashes, which means heading 2. Put in the text. Then I need the actual instructions that I had. So I've got those there. They're just standard paragraph text, so they don't need anything else. Then I need to go back to Snagit and get my second image, which is that one. And put that one in. Again, I can put some instructions in it if I want. I'm tending to use this here, which will just put the text underneath it. You should take the time with captions and titles for people using screen readers. Otherwise, they have not got a clue what is going on. Right, so wouldn't Scrivener allow you to do a fair amount of this? Tracy, I wish. No. Every single time I come onto Scrivener, it's a living nightmare. The living nightmare with Scrivener is the graphics. Can't do it. So you end up having to manually deal with the graphics, which is horrible. Right, so third heading. Some text. What I'm going to do, though, I'm going to leave that blank. I'm going to go and get the graphic. Now, this is a workflow thing. I'm going to get the graphic, which is the third graphic, which is this one. Why did I not put the text in? And that's because at the moment I've got that on the clipboard. So I can go into there and just put that in. Again, a workflow thing. So you'll get faster as you go. As it happens, there were none in there. And I think I had another image, but that'll do for the moment. So click the zoom settings. Is that right? Click to access the zoom settings. I must have had another thing in there. Hang on. Click to access zoom. Accessibility settings. Click zoom. No, that's right. Believe it or not. Right. Let me just put the zoom settings are displayed. The zoom settings are available. Right. So you've got your content. Now, in there at the moment, you can put keywords in. You can put lots of other things in over here, but you don't actually need to. You hit the publishing and you have a range of options when it comes to publish. So text, HTML, EPUB, PDF, DocX. It's very capable, very capable. So let's go for a PDF. And once you've selected that, you can then select which particular type you would like. So you've got all of these to choose from, whether it's academic, business, columns, manuscript, however you want it. We'll go for Blue Modern. Would InDesign produce good web content? Again, it may produce HTML, but you've got to manually manage the images. And if you're trying to get it to a blog, that will take you longer than actually doing it this way. What InDesign and all the other options would enable you to do is to create something that looks fantastic. Now, I don't want to say that this doesn't look fantastic. Let's have Blue Modern and let's see what it looks like. Now, I would want to change the typography on that, but basically it's there, isn't it? Almost. Everything's got a page of its own. The image is at the top, text underneath. You might want it the other way around, just saying. But everything's there, and it's a perfectly usable PDF. If we come out of that, we go back in and choose something completely different. So instead of Blue Modern, seriously, not now, Ulysses. Right. Blue Modern, but we don't. Now the mouse is misbehaving. Oh, you ever had one of those nights? Right, not Blue Modern. Go for something totally different, like French novel. And in fact, I think you can preview these. But we'll open it in PDF Expert. Then you've got a fully fledged PDF. So very, very different. This time, no images at all. It's a novel. So clearly the settings weren't configured to export that. And it's done it, even though it was A4, in like a folded over thing. So if you want to take the time and build one of these to your complete specification, perfect. You would get a very good PDF out of it. And it would go to a website as well. So it's not fully fledged for publishing to my website, but I think we have a test one on here, don't we? We do. Please let that work. Right, so I'm going to publish it to a test site. Now, the benefit of this is it's going to publish it immediately or on a date. You get to say whether it's draft or whether it's published. It will automatically add it into categories. It will automatically add tags. You can create an excerpt, have a featured image, and so basically anything that you can do in WordPress, you can do at the point of publishing here. Now, I don't have everything in there that could use. So I'm just going to show you one that I do have. So, MacBites HQ day 36. Right, all that's not being published. But the file's there. There's no reason why it's not being published apart from apathy. That's shocking. In fact, everything up to 36, 7 and 8 could be published. I'm showing you this because this has a keyword in it of marooned at MacBites headquarters. My other one didn't. So this one here, no keywords. But this one does. It also has a note and an image. Now, they could be used in Ulysses in any way you want. But if you want to publish to WordPress and make your life easy, so once I've produced those shows, which I have done, 36, 37, 38, all up there, they're in the cloud. But you can't get to them if there's no posts, and the posts are in here. But by me using that keyword, that is the same keyword as is on the website. This is the first note, and the first note is the excerpt. And this image that I've dragged in, you can add in as many as you want, the first one's going to be the thumbnail image. So the difference this time is when I go to publish and actually publish this one, having another rare old think about it, right? And this is going on MacBites FM, and I hit publish. It's got the day. Now I actually want that on a set date. That was Tuesday. What date was it on Tuesday, Mike? 21st. And it should have been published at 9 o'clock, so I'll set that. I want it to go. The category it needs to be in is marooned. There's the excerpt pulled through from over here on the right. There's the featured image pulled through here from over on the right. There's the slug, which is the actual title. So I'm just going to take out the extra there and done. And then all I need to do is publish it. Now, if the image was a different image with each one, so what it would do, there it is, it's published. So that's it gone. And that episode of Marooned is now published, and that's how I do it. So I would then go to day 37, do exactly the same. The only change I need to make is in here, 21st, 22nd. And again, change the time, everything else, just take out those 2 extra characters. It puts in because there's a space, and published. So the publishing part of it, I'm not having to worry about the audio file or the player or the graphic or anything else. It's all sorted. So I might as well do 38 while I'm here. Up to MacBites FM. That one would be yesterday. 21. Down to there, take out the 2 extra characters and publish. So, what does that mean for ours? Well, we don't have down here an image, nor do we have any keywords or anything. But let's say one of the keywords we used was tutorials. And we then added some text, which was, this is a quick tutorial on how to use the zoom settings in macOS. There we go. And some kind of image. And for that, we're just going to use one of the ones that we've got in Snagit. So not perfect, but we'll just go for that one. And drag and drop it in, and now we've got an image. So what it will do when I come to publish this is look for a category called tutorials, use that as the excerpt, and use the image as the post image. So let's go publish that. This time, publish it, not to MacBites, to one of our test sites. Do the publishy thing. Categories tutorials, that's because it recognises, okay, you've put that in there, so you want it in the tutorials. We'll say publish it immediately, but we'll make it a draft because we don't actually want it live. And that's it, you're done. You're done. So I'll publish it, but I'll open the editor. Might have to log in. You could probably automate that with Keyboard Maestro. Select the post, and then Keyboard Maestro does the rest. Which bit, Paul? Which bit? Putting everything in there. The tutorial bits, the note, or something else. Windows ME. Windows ME was a nightmare. Windows 98 was the highlight. In fact, Windows 2K wasn't bad. It went silly at Teletubbyland.
That was 98.
Was it? I thought that was 2K.
Was it 2K?
Right, I need to get in there. So it's asking me to log in. I'm doing the old login business. But now I need 1Password. Oh no!
Whilst you're talking about that...
Oh, I know what I can do.
I've had good news and bad news.
Go on.
The bad news is that the Toblerone's gone up to a £5. The good news is that I found some Toblerone cheesecake.
Have they got any in?
Yeah, I've put 2 in the basket.
So you're a happy boy. I meanwhile. XP, that was the one. It was XP.
Yeah, it was XP.
See, it's all come back to you now, the full horror of it. No, Windows 98 was a high point. An absolute high point. Right, I'm trying to log into this site. Oh, God, what are you doing to me? Can I preview you? I can preview you. There we go. So bringing it across, this is what that looks like. So the benefit of doing it, this is the thumbnail image. There's the title that I put in. Here's the text.
No, that's the dog.
His other woman's calling him. Princess Lola wants you. There's the title, which was the heading 2. Here's all of the text.
Alexa, turn the landing light.
You see, normally you could turn the landing light on quietly, couldn't he? And there's all your images. So the benefit of doing that, rather than doing it any other way, is everything goes with it. All the images get uploaded. All you have to do is hit publish. So that's why I do that with all of these things that are published here. The ones we've just done for Marooned. And if you go back to the home page, you'll see the ones we've just published are all there as well. So just the 20. That's bizarre. I think those dates are wrong. They are. I need to fix those dates. But there you go. Everything's pulled through. I don't need to go in even look at it. Everything is pulled through. So before you think about step 2, which was the assembly, you need to think about step 3, which is where do you want the output? Where does it need to be? So Ulysses can do a pretty good job with a PDF, it can do a fabulous job publishing to a website. The issue you've got, hang on, the actual bit you're clicking on to publish. Yep, it probably could, Paul. It probably could. I tend to do it one a day, so I don't get over concerned about it. But if I was publishing at 10 a day, I'd be thinking about it. The thing that annoys me with the output here is that I can't help thinking, you know, it could do better in terms of the layout for a PDF. So that's where I would think of something else like Publisher or even Keynote. Keynote can do a fabulous job. Having said that, I probably would use Publisher now to do it. Jonathan says XP was released on his birthday. Oh, that's nearly as bad as us, Jonathan. Heading off for the launch of Windows 95. Do you know what's terrifying about that, Jonathan? Well, we were queuing up outside PC World in Stratford at an alarming hour with a free copy of the Times, courtesy of Bill Gates. You were 5 going on 6. That's terrifying. Vista was when you bought a Mac. What was I using? I could well have been using Windows 2K because it was stable. But no, I didn't touch Vista. That was when I bought a Mac as well. Funny that, isn't it? Right, so what I would do in here is go in and choose what kind of document do I want. If I want it in a nice, neatly folded, printed A5 PDF, then I could choose that one. But A4's pretty nice. And the thing is, rather than have it look like a Word document or a Pages document, in here you can actually make it look incredibly nice. I thought the output of Ulysses was more configurable than that. It is, Deborah. It's not bad at all. But what it can't do is the kind of thing that I'm going to show you now. So what I would tend to do with this, most people these days, you have to provide a vertical copy for a phone. But for a tutorial, it does tend to work better. He's got wine now, so he's very happy. It does tend to work better if you're on a desktop or an iPad, that people want a landscape copy. So I'm going to go for a landscape copy. And I'm going to embed those graphics. We'll have a default master. We don't need facing pages because it's digital. We don't really need it to be, we could have it RGB because we're not really printing it. And then OK. And now you've got a layout where you can create a really nice layout. So part 1 was accessing that. Now this works better when you've got more steps that you might want to do or whatever, but in here you've got complete flexibility. So you could put that at the top, you could put the second one on the same page if you wanted, and then you can weave the text between them. So you could actually have that there. You can put your text wherever you want. It just gives you a much more flexible layout. So I won't do everything, but I'll put in a text box. I'll put in a header up there and I'll put that in and then we'll format it. Where are we going? There we go. And we should have some nice textiles somewhere, which I think I've just changed. Just hidden them away. But let's put some, let's have it like that. And let's make it bigger. So now, of course, you've got the best of all options in here, but then this won't let you move. It wouldn't let you take it and send it straight to a website. Now, a lot of people have been complaining about the output from Publisher, that it doesn't do EPUB very well, that it needs more in the way of export options. And I'm sure they'll get there. But what it does give you is fantastic flexibility. You know, I could take this because I'm going to make a PDF of it. I could put these right at the edge. Sometimes I even have them overhanging the edge and they look great. And you just weave the text that you need between it and you have complete flexibility in terms of the layout. But it does not give you a fantastic PDF, does it? So with this second page, I might choose to have that right in the middle and then put some explanation on it, do call outs, create styles, fabulous options that you've got in Publisher. So I'll take you through one from soup to nuts in Publisher next time. But That's the things you've got to think about. So when you're at that second step, you've got to think about the output. The output to the web, you can't beat Ulysses. There are things, however, that Ulysses doesn't do, which is a problem. But I am badgering them and have been for 18 months. And I will not let go. I will be like a dog with a bone, I promise. Basically, what I want to be able to do with the graphics in here, you have options with graphics where you click on it. Come on. And down here, you've got a plus. You can add a title, a size, export as. I want to wrap a CSS style around it. If I could do that, it would be perfect. That would enable you to add a border in post. It would be brilliant. But it doesn't do it yet. But I keep mithering them. So there you go. Right. So any questions about that, post them in. Post them in. Let's get rid of that.
Neil's got a question.
What's wrong with the PDF it produces? What's wrong with which PDF it produces? What are we talking about? Ulysses. The Ulysses PDF is absolutely fine, but it's basic. If you wanted to like merge them together, if you wanted to have like 10 tutorials and put them together, you'd have a lot of manual work to do. You can't really, you need to spend a lot of time configuring it to create one that handles everything you want it to do. If it looks fine, quick and get it out there, Ulysses, then publish it. Yeah, if you want it really nice, something that you might use maybe as a lead magnet or something that you're trying to produce for a client that looks high value because of the design, then take it to Publisher. If you're not comfortable in Publisher or you don't have Publisher, nothing wrong with Keynote or PowerPoint. And of course, what you can do is build a template in Keynote or PowerPoint and or Publisher. So you've got a range of tools that you can use in there. So that's what we're going to look at next time. Right.
Johnny had a question.
I'm just going up. Where's Johnny's question? Where's Johnny's question?
How do you change the margins after you created a document or artboard?
That one's easy. Okay, what you need to do, make sure you've got the move tool, make sure you've got nothing selected, and then up here you have two options. You have your document setup, which is where you change something to do with your entire document, and your spread setup. And if it's the margins you're concerned about, you don't even need to have any margins. You can do without them completely, or you can go in and you can set that. I usually have mine set to 10. And if you want to set them differently, so the bottom one is 15, then take the lock off. And OK, and there's your margins. Right, one from Peter. Pages in publisher mode has the same flexibility and does EPUB, but not HTML. This is the thing, there's just not one, there just isn't one app that does the lot. If there was, it would be amazing. I think Pages at the moment is in flux in a way. They're trying to add to it all the stuff that's in iBooks Author, because they never made iBooks Author for the iPad, and it's pretty much an unloved product from Apple at the moment, isn't it? So they are going to keep adding it, adding stuff to it, adding features to it. Really, the fastest app for you to do it with is the app that you're most comfortable with. So I spend an inordinate amount of time in Keynote, so I'm really quick with it. If Mike came to Keynote, he'd be lost, but then I'm like that if I look at PowerPoint. So it really depends on the app that you're most comfortable with. I mean, there's no point at the moment. If I needed to work on an iPad, then there's no point picking Publisher because it's not on an iPad. I could use Designer and then take it to Publisher, and I could take a Publisher file and send it to Designer on an iPad and edit it there. But it would be a hacky workaround. So if you need to work on an iPad 90% of the time, you might be blindingly fast with Pages. What I'll say about Ulysses is, doesn't matter what the platform is, it's brilliant on all of them. And it's identical on all of them. So Ulysses is very, very good. If you don't need the really fancy layout, then you may be able to just use Ulysses. And the good news about that for Jonathan is it's in setup, because otherwise it's a £38 a year subscription. So £38 off your setup, and you get everything else that setup has as well. Right, okay, where's my next one? Right, we're going to look at cleaning text. Now this again was something that came up midweek in Marooned. And it was about, how do we get onto this topic?
Can't remember.
I think somebody mentioned text soap and Jonathan got excited because he hadn't used it and it's in setup. The usual excuse. Right, okay. Oh, South Ken, that was near my college. South Kensington Station. That was near my college, Neil. My college was Holborn College of Law. Down, heading from Kensington towards Chelsea. Posh bit. Right, and I said I didn't use text soap anymore. I used to use it, but I've moved to BB Edit. The only reason I moved to BB Edit was that the license for text soap is activated, and obviously I've got 5 computers, and if I want to work on one and then etc. BB Edit's licensed to me. There's only me using it. I've got it on 5 computers. Only ever use it on one computer at a time because there is only one of me. Text soap needs to be activated. So that was the downside for me. Even if it's on setup, I still think you have a problem with that because you still need to deactivate and reactivate. But it's incredibly powerful. So don't think that text soap, because it says text soap and it sounds like a gimmicky app. It's just as powerful as BB Edit. I just program it in BB Edit. The one thing that I can do in BB Edit that you would potentially struggle with, it would be at least difficult in text soap, is doing what I do when I'm manipulating text. And that is, I create one file and then I create derivatives from it. And that I never did in text soap. That was an extra bit that once I'd programmed BB Edit, and it took an age. It took way longer because you have to break down exactly what you're trying to do into individual steps. And you run a step and you think that's that fine. And then you move on to the next step and you think, now I've got no hooks to get in to do the next thing. So a case in point would be if I replace every instance of a hash with a H1, that will give me on a heading 1, H1. And on something that had been a heading 2, it would give me H1, H1. So you really have to think carefully about the process that you're going through. Work it out on paper first, seriously, and then take it step by step by step. So let's go and have a look at text soap. Now, I'll show you the BB Edit one running, but I might keep the rest of it till next week. Right, okay, it's opened on the wrong screen, but there we go. There it is on the right one. Text soap is indeed on setup. Jonathan's already done the happy dance about that. Now,
seems everything's on setup.
Almost everything. Not quite, Mike. Not quite. If it was, I would be there. Right, it's open text soap, and you'll notice it's already got some text in it. Where did that text come from? Well, every time you open text soap, it takes what's on the clipboard and it pastes it in, on the assumption that that's what you want to work on. Now, it's much more likely you're going to want to work on something like this. So this is my text editor of choice, and there's some text in it. And as you see, it's not good. It's not good. There are multiple lines in it where there shouldn't be. There's quotes in it, which are these over here. So lines 5, 6 and 7 are quoted. Line 11 has got 5 spaces in it. Again, multiple carriage returns. Dates in it. There's multiple spaces. This has got a carriage return as well. So basically it's text and it's a mess. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into here. If I'd already copied that, so let me delete that and come out of text soap, it's still on the clipboard. So if I go into text soap, because it was on the clipboard, can we have that on the right screen? You're lying to me. Honestly, seriously? Right, let's paste, hang on, it's not on the clipboard. That's what's wrong with it, not on the clipboard. I have no idea why it's not on the clipboard. Let's do that again. Now on the clipboard. Don't make a liar out of me. And there it is. So it always takes the text that is on the clipboard and pastes it in as a start. Now, what you've got here, you've not got clarify. Let's get rid of the menu and get the right menu. Okay, you have a menu at the top. Then you've got the toolbar underneath. The toolbar's fairly basic, but it's got on enough. Gets interesting below that, where you start this bit here, which is all of the options you have for the format of what's displayed in the editor. The editor being this bit here. And it's drawing that on the other screen. That's not good. There we go. So that's your editor. You can, that's not just a viewer, you can go in there, and if there's something you want to fix manually, you can do that. Below that, you have your status bar. Now, the status bar is actually quite important because, I'm trying to get this at full screen. It is, right. This is quite important because these controls here control what you see in the editor. So, you've got, mouse pointer, come on. You've got the zoom, if you want to zoom into it. I think 100's probably enough, isn't it? Although we could get to 125 and we'd still see it. You've then got whether you display numbers, line numbers. That's bad, isn't it? I turned them on and that didn't move properly, but that's line numbers. You've then got whether you can see. Oh God. What are you doing? That's actually turning off what I've got selected, which I can't see a use for. But this one here will turn off all of the characters. Now, I say you should probably leave those on because sometimes you might think that that's a tab and then realise it's 5 spaces when you look at it. So just something to think about leaving these on. This last one, that will give you your word count, paragraphs and characters. So most of the time, don't think you particularly need that. But that's what's on the status bar, that's what it's for. Now it gets interesting on the right hand side, which is this bit here. And this is where the magic happens. You already have a whole collection of like recipes which are made up of individual steps. So the individual steps that you would run are turned into a recipe and then can be run against the text. So what I mean by that, let's get rid of that. Let's say we want to remove spaces. So at the top we have an option here and it even tells you exactly what it does. So this cleaner takes multiple spaces and replaces them with a single space. Leading spaces at the beginning of a line are also removed. Hang on, we hadn't finished reading that. Come back. And it's great for dealing with text that formats with spaces. So we've got spaces in, we've got 2 spaces between not and all, 2 between all and text. So most of these have got far too many spaces and this one's got like 5. And then the beginning of this one has too many. And just so we can say for absolute certain, there's a lot of spaces as well. So these over here are your cleaners. And that can be toggled on and off as well. Now, before I run any of these, let's get an idea for what this can do. Because what you're actually looking at here is only one collection of cleaners. It's a bit like one of those pressure washer things that come with a million different attachments, none of which you have a clue what they do. There's a whole range of cleaners. So if I click on the drop down up here, you can see initially you're shown standard, but you have library, which is all of them. Look at them all. There are hundreds built in already. But you can get more granular as well. So you can look at just the very basics. You can look at ones that are relevant when you're cleaning up email. There are typographical ones, changing 3 periods to ellipsis and all kinds of things. There are case conversions if you want, if you've got a whole thing that somebody sent you and it's all in uppercase, you can do that. What else have we got? You can text quote, which various levels of text quoting. So it isn't just for cleaning up text, it could actually be for processing text, which is why the icon and the fact it's called text soap, it doesn't make it look as powerful as it is. It really is incredibly, incredibly powerful. There's handling for dates. Mouse has got a mind of its own tonight. It's got the removal of extraneous characters, so all of the characters we've talked about. Paragraph rulers, markdown, HTML, all kinds of stuff. And you can add your own. That's where the power comes. You can add your own. But what we actually want to do here, if we go to library, and that gives us this huge long list, and you think, I want to remove spaces. You can use the search and just type the word space, and it will give you all of the options for that. So what do you actually want to do with these spaces? We want to remove the extra ones. So I'll click that button, but you look at the text on the left-hand side and instantly it's tidied. It selects it all and it runs through it and does what that tells it to do, which is if there's more than one space, just make it one space. And that's what it does. And it's that powerful to do. But it gets even better than that. Because if I had text to process, and this was the job I had with it, I had text to process, but I needed multiple steps. So the power comes in the fact that you could string together the individual little jobs that you see there and turn them into basically a macro that will run 8 or 10 or 50 of them, one after the other. So we'll have a look at what the extras do. What would we need to do with this text now to make it look decent? Well, there's far too many carriage returns in it, isn't there? So let's go up to the search and put returns. And we've got some options. Do you want to remove the extra ones? Strip 2 or more, or 3 or more, or 4 or more. Now, sometimes you'll think, I don't know. If I strip all of them, what will I end up with? I might want a line between the paragraphs or I might not. So you need to think about what it is you actually want. Multiple returns to 1 return or multiple returns to 2 returns. That should give me paragraphs. It will remove multiple returns but leave me with 2. So let's try that. That's absolutely perfect. So I get my extra one left. So I've got a line between each one, but other than that, it didn't matter whether there were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many there were, it got rid of them all. So to prove that point, let's put loads in. Hundreds of them. Right, and other ones where there's like that. And multiple to 2. And the only issue we then have is in here where it's quoted. So let's just put some extra ones in here. That shouldn't be 2 returns, it should be 1 return. So let's do that. With it selected, it only operates on the text you have selected. So you can use multiple steps on the right, but with different text selected on the left to get the effect that you want. Now, we still have some quoted text. We have this here, which is quoted. That's what it looks like in your email. And sometimes there's multiple quotes, but here it's pretty simple. There's just one set of quotes. So again, I'll do a search and there's all kinds of things I can do. But I actually want to remove the quote. So, do I want to smarten them? No. Straighten? No. I don't want to quote anything. And I can increase the level. Not really what I'm looking for. Now I'm wondering why, because I'm pretty sure I was in standard and there was something. There you go. So in the standard one, now that doesn't say quote. So although what it's going to do is remove the quote, it doesn't say remove quote. So sometimes you need to think around corners or know exactly where they are. Long term, if it's a job you're doing multiple times, you'll probably create the equivalent of a macro to do it. And that part will just be one step within it. But that's what we want to do. So over here, let's, where were we? That one there, remove. So it selects it all and it removes it. Now, issue I've got here is those there, because they were quoted, there's a carriage return at the end of each one, and I don't particularly want that. So if I go back to my return, multiple returns to 1 return, I don't think that's going to do it. If I do extra, it's not going to do it. You really do need to choose the correct ones. So in here, have we got anything? Remove extra returns. No, what we basically want to do is remove the lot or rewrap the text. Now, rewrapping the text works, but I found there was an extra one at the end. I just needed to delete it. But now that quoted text is back in there. Right, another one was this here is 3 individual characters. And it's just 3 full stops. It's not an ellipsis character. But we know when we were on our library that if we put in there, right, change an ellipsis to 3 periods or change 3 periods to an ellipsis. And that's what we want to do. So at the moment, how you tell that that's 3 characters is, you get to the beginning of it and you go 1, 2, 3. If it was a single character, it would just jump from there to there. So it would jump from the start on the left to the end at the beginning. Right, so we want 3 periods to an ellipsis. It actually looks different, and when I use the arrow keys, it goes over the 3 of them. So it sorted that out as well. Right, is there anything else on there? Yes, what about these dates? Right, I've put, and what is this date? And what is that date? Half of you should tell me it's the 12th of March, and the other half should tell me it's the 3rd of December. And that's one of the problems. I've got a date formatted below. That one is easier, because if it's the 15th, it must be American format. But it's hard to tell, isn't it? So if in an email you've got dates and you look at them and you think these are American and they're confusing, or these are British and they're confusing, then up here, let's do a search for date, and you've got a whole range of things that you can do with dates. So if we wanted them to be American format, we've got that option there. And that actually flips it round, and it now says, well, that's actually 12th of March, isn't it? So it flipped it round and it was correct. You can do that, but you notice only one changes, because otherwise it would make no sense at all. But you can also change dates into long format, 3rd of December, 15th of December. You can go back, change them up there. If I, is it that one? No, it's not that one. One of these, I managed to get that flipped the other way around. So you do have to be careful with them. But basically, you can flip these dates round and convert them into any kind of format that you want. So it's not all about just tidying the text and getting rid of extra spaces. It could actually be processing that text. Right. Now, so far, we've only done fairly basic things. The job I had in mind for it was way more complicated. Did I have it available up here? I think I did. But what I'm going to do is show you where my text came from, because we're all okay with what that's doing so far. It's literally just processing the text. The power, as I say, is in stringing it together. So I'll show you that, which up here you've got custom cleaners and groups, which opens up an extra window. So these are your custom cleaners, these are your custom groups. Let's add a custom group. So the custom group I think I created was MacBites. And that's not where you put that. I always do that wrong. It needs to go over there. Now, what you've got over here are your custom cleaners. And in here you can say, what would I use for MacBites? Well, it wouldn't be coming from an email, so I wouldn't particularly want that. But I would like maybe to put extra spaces over there. And maybe I want to do some rewrapping of the text. I want to put that in. So basically you do your searching in here. So let's say I want to do some dates thing and I want them to be UK dates. So I'll put that one in. And you go through the groups, finding the ones that make most sense for you. So remove extraneous. Oh, let's remove all the tabs out of it. And what I'm doing is creating a group that makes sense for me. And I can add separators to it if I want, and then put them on the other side of the separator. So that could be, let's put the dates on the other side, like that. You can even change the colour. So if you want that one to be a nice orange, and you want all of these to be red, let's go up there and choose. It's more of a burnt thing, isn't it? I think that one's actually the red. Or is that orange? Mind of its own. Let's choose that one. Are they the same? There we go. Let's make that one blue. It would now make much more sense to have it blue. There we go. When you come out of that and you go back over here, you should now have, you'll see it says Untitled Group, but it's not. I found you have to go back into Customised and then come back to it. And it's still not doing it right, is it? Let's go into Untitled Group. That should be saying MacBites. There we go. Third time lucky. Right, so here are the options and there are the colours. So the colours can make a huge, huge difference. and then get to work with them. Now, in the custom cleaners, we've got a custom group, but up here, can we add another one of those in? Basically, we need to create one of those, don't we? Hang on. Let's get a group here, go to library. That'll bring up the same dialog box. It does indeed. All right, let's have a look at what's in one of these. So that one there, for instance, why can't I edit this? Why are you not editing for me? You're not, are you? Not impressed. Right, hang on, I've got questions. I've got questions? No, you're all just chatting away, which is jolly good. Jolly good. Right, so what I'm going to show you is what I was actually doing with it. And it wasn't really text like that I was trying to process. It was really complicated stuff, which I haven't tried in here for quite a while. But I'm going to show you where my complicated stuff came from. Is Jonathan still awake?
He is. He's chatting away.
Behind the scenes of MacBites, Jonathan. Look. Look at that. Ooh, the excitement. Right. I'm showing the last normal show. The one after that was the review of the year. But this here is a standard show. These are the sections in it. And I want... What used to have to happen was, poor Mike used to have to... It's such pity for you, haven't I? All the work you had to do. Mike would have to go through it and he'd have to make a note of what we did in ChatBites and what we did in iPhone, and what we did in more ChatBites and Focus. And he'd have to type it all out. So what we started doing after that was the folder that's the show, and this is in Scrivener, over here has an image, it has the title, has the number, and under here in the notes, it has some markdown. And all of these individual items also have some markdown. So if I go into there, you'll see that has a markdown link, which is linking out to After Hours. We've probably got links to Slack in there. There's the link to Slack. And what else have we got in here? We may have some links in there. So what happens now is each individual story, you'll find the link for it in the notes attached to the scrivening of that story. So were there any for Alexa answers? There were. So each one of these, there's some notes in the notes over here. Or the majority of them there are. Sometimes there's a whole lot like that. What you see in there needs to go on the website. Simple as that. As fast as possible. No manual processing. So what I tend to do is this. I grab the whole lot from the start of the show down to the wrap up. I don't put the series sketch in. Right, so I've got that information. And then I process it. Will text soap remove crude language? It would, Neil, if you edited it in such a way that you did basically a find and replace, it would. Do be careful doing that, though. That's how Scunthorpe got into trouble. Scunthorpe being a place in the UK. If you don't search for the space before and the space after, the space before the C and after the T, you get stars in the middle of Scunthorpe. So Mike and I call that Scunthorping. Right, so I've got that selected. Then I need to do a compile. So I go to the compile and I already have it set up for the recording notes or the show notes. And the show notes are what goes on the website. And I send it out, multi-markdown, to a web page. So it's going to output from multi-markdown into a web page. So I'm going to hit compile. Put that on the desktop and you'll see it's going to overwrite anything else. Overwriting preserves other files. No, I would take that off normally. I don't want the other files. I want it always to be the new one, but never mind. I don't know why I've left that on. And I want to open the file in BBEdit. I'm going to do that so you can see it. So I'll export that. It'll have a think about it, makes a text file, opens it up in BBEdit. And that's what I end up with. So let's have a look what we've got. Where's the project thing gone? Never mind, that should be at the side. Maybe it's because there's only one file open. But this here is the head of a HTML file. Then I've got two H1s. And then I've got a H2. And then I've got paragraphs. I even have special characters like this thing, which is the actual audio player. And I have WordPress codes in it, and I have lots and lots of bulleted lists. Okay, now, can that go on the website as is? No, because this stuff up here, it would choke on. It's an entire page, that, and the stuff at the top is telling it it's an entire page, and you're thinking, well, just delete it. And that would work fine, apart from line 8. Line 8 says body. We go down to the bottom, there is a HTML and a closing body. Oh dear. You can actually prove that point in here by folding it up. So I could fold up the HTML up here and start, there's the head and there's the body. So I would have to go through and start making changes, which is the not good bit, all right? Because you'd make a mistake. The other thing is, that's fine as far as it goes for making the text that actually goes on the website. But there was a bit that was missing. I need it in text format as well, because when I use Feeder to publish something, you have to have it twice. If you've never seen Feeder, this is Feeder. There's the last episode of MacBites. If I open that up, I have my description in there. Actually, that's not the best one to show you because that was the review of the year. Let's stick to the Toblerone. So there's the description and there's all the HTML. But you also have a summary, and that's plain text. No code in it. It's the same content. So iPhone 11 Pro's Apple stripped all the meaning from Pro, and you'll find the same thing in there. There it is. But it's in a totally different format. So to ask TextSoap to do that, probably a bit much, but I did. I used to have to do it twice, but I did. So there's the text that I want it to clean. Right, so if I take that out of there and we close that down, and I then go into TextSoap. Let's try and make it more complicated. Look at that. And it has a lot of options. If we go to the search and we look at HTML, it's got HTML cleaners. So you can convert it to Markdown. You can extract text from it. You can convert it to rich text. So there's a lot of things it can do, as you can see, hundreds of them. So first off, I'll grab the whole lot and let's say we extract the text from it. You've now got all of that horrible HTML code disappeared. Is it right? Not quite, no. That's why you have these other ones over here, where you've got an unordered list or an ordered list or whatever. The reason that this is very, very complicated for it, and this is something that you would have to sit down and work out manually, is if it says chat bytes, I want to lose that. And this bit here, that should actually be a list. So at the beginning of every one of them, it should have that. So that is something that TextSoap can do, but you would have to sit down here and really seriously think what type of controls over here you would need to program to make it do that. But if all you wanted was to take a load of rubbish from a web page that's full of HTML code, it can do that out of the box. So I'm showing you what it can do out of the box, which is pretty amazing. But before I hand over to Mike, I'm going to show you why I don't use it. It's great, and I would not tell anybody not to use it, but what I would say is think seriously about what it is you're trying to actually do. Right, so this 1, 2, 3 that I've got open here, if I open that in BB Edit, there we go. Right, that's it in there, and you can see I've got a HTML page there. I get that out of the way, so I just have that HTML page. But I've just said to you, I need 2 pages. I need the HTML page and I need a text version of it. The HTML that I need is very specific HTML. It doesn't need all this stuff at the top, but it does need half of it. So what I did was I created some text factories. I'm not going to show you how they work today. I'll show you that next time. But I created some text factories which are basically the same as TextSoap. They are individual little cleaning elements that do a specific job, and then it passes on and it does the next job, and then the next job, and the next job, which is why you need to understand what it's doing manually, because that's how you'll start to do it. But when I've done all that, I could then do with somebody waving a magic wand, like the elves and the shoemaker. I could do with the elves coming in and making me a text file that's just perfect. That would be great. So what I did was I made a script. So up here you'll see process show notes. So I'll click the button and it will go away and it will do it. And what it's done, the original HTML file is there, but if you look at the top of it, all of the head stuff's gone. Go down the bottom, it's missing at the bottom as well. Everything is neat and tidy, just as it needs to be. But at the same time, look at that. There's another one, which is just text, but the line items, the list items, have come in with a dash at the beginning, which is exactly what I needed. And I haven't got any silly extra carriage returns in after the focus and the chat bytes and the iPhone. All of that is taken care of as well. So text soap's great on one file, but I tried to push it a bit further to see, could I take one file and turn it into the other file that I need? And the answer to that was yes. I still need to do a little bit of work on this because certain things have changed and I need to fix it up. But if I scoot this down and show you, there's my second file. There's my text file. So that's my HTML file that I would put on the website. Absolutely perfect. And that is my text file that just has the text in that you can see there. So I'll show you how to do it in BBEdit, what I'm doing in BBEdit next time. But it worked. Excellent. Right, one more thing before we see Mike. And one more thing is our freebies, which I have actually put in there for you, Mike, with links. It's amazing. Right, 2 for you this time. They are 2 courses, because you sat at home, feet up, etc. Or some of you are. Right, that's nearly 3 hours of how to edit with the iPhone. I think all of those apps are still valid. And course gets decent reviews, so I put that on there. And the other one was photo editing on the cheap with Pixelmator. It's a Pixelmator crash course, 44 minutes. And I know we do have some users of Pixelmator, so I thought I would share that. Right, moving on to Mike and his bubble and scatter charts.
Not like bubble and squeak.
It's like bubble and squeak,
Bubble and
only it's your
squeak.
bubble and scatter charts.
Right.
Right, so let's make sure that they can see you, and let's make sure that they can hear you.
Is Johnny still awake?
Is Johnny still awake? If he goes during the Excel, that would be good, so I'll leave that to you, Mike. Right, they can see your screen.
I'll make him snore. No, because it's colouring the Queen next, isn't it?
It's colouring the Queen.
Yeah.
Kim's liking text soap. Text soap's very good. If you do have setup, it's definitely worth trying. Right, over to you, Mike.
Okay. Right. I also noticed that Busy Contacts is on setup. I don't have Busy Contacts.
Busy Cal is, isn't it?
You're Busy Cal is, but I've got Busy Cal.
You have.
I haven't got Busy Contacts.
See, he's going. He's going.
Yes, he's going.
It's like watching those things, Blackpool, penny slots.
Yeah.
The pennies are going in. Jonathan's frantically pushing the pennies in, trying to get you over the edge.
He is. Right. Is my screen being shared?
I did tell you that.
Am I live? Okay. Right. I thought what I'd do this week is scatter charts and bubble charts. And Johnny said he's not used bubble charts. So hopefully he's still awake.
He's still awake, he's talking.
If he's not, he can catch up tomorrow.
He's talking.
He's talking. Okay.
If he's asleep at the end of it, I'm blaming you.
Right.
There'll be a reward for that, Mike. Because I'm on to a 3-1 or a 2-2 here.
Right. What I have here is some information from a pharmaceutical company about the medicines that they make and sell. It's a completely fictitious pharmaceutical company, may I add. Nothing to do with a certain pharmaceutical company that I may work for. But what we have is a list of different categories. So every drug that they sell, every medicine they sell, is associated with a category. And we have the number of products in that category. We have the sales and we have the profit. And of course, you've got a number of different ways that you can present that data. You could do it as a bar chart, probably not a pie chart because it wouldn't look right, but you know, a bar chart might work, a line chart possibly would work, but I've chosen to go for a scatter chart. And what a scatter chart is a chart where both axes are numeric. So you can see from this chart here, I've done a completed example, we've got the horizontal axes as numbers and we've got the vertical axes as numbers, where your traditional type of chart, your bar chart, your line chart, will normally have your vertical axis with headings like the categories and your horizontal axis with numbers. So it all, and I keep saying this every week that I do the charts, it all depends on what you're trying to show and what message you're trying to get across. But what I've done is I've created an example of a scatter chart, and the idea is that you can see from that chart the number of products in a category against the sales. So you can see which product has got the most sales against the categories, against the number of products within the category. So for example, diabetes, there are 4 products, but it's got a fairly low sales, whereas respiratory drugs, there's quite a lot of products and there's a lot of sales. I'll show you how to do that. I thought I'd start with a completed version. So if we go over to scatter 2, with a scatter chart, don't choose the headings and don't choose the text labels. They will be added later. Normally when you build a chart, you select all the data that you want to build the chart from. But what we're going to do is we're just going to choose the numbers. A scatter chart really is best to show 2 columns of numbers. So I'd either choose those 2, or I could choose that's B and C, or I could choose B and D just by holding the control key down as I select the numbers in column D to allow me to select non-consecutive blocks. But whatever it is you're selecting, you select the 2 columns of numbers, go to Insert. Has this crashed on me? No, something's not right. Oh, right, what's going on here? It's not crashed on me. Well, it sort of crashed on me because it's not letting me click on the menu. Well, it was working in rehearsals. What can I say?
Welcome to my world.
Right, okay, shall we do where is it on here? Control-Alt-Delete and kill Excel and then relaunch it and see what happens. I've actually found Excel to be a little bit unstable of late.
Ooh, criticising the Excel.
Yes. Right. Should we try again?
Yes.
That's better.
Start again.
I'm not starting the whole thing again, but at least it's clicking on the menu this time. Okay, so select the cells I want, click on Insert, and then there is my scatter and also bubble charts. And you can do this in Excel for the Mac as well as Excel for Windows. But I'm going to go for the simple scatter chart there. And there basically is my scatter chart. I'm going to tidy it up a little bit. So I'm going to click on the chart title and grab what's in A1 as the chart title. I've done this several times before in previous demos. So go up to the formula bar, type an equals, click on A1, and it picks up the contents of A1. If I want to remove the grid lines, I can click the plus sign at the top corner and take the tick out of grid lines. Although I might want the grid lines because it looks a little bit bare without them, I think. So let's put the grid lines back. And clicking on the little arrow gives us the option to choose whether we have the horizontal or the vertical ones, or both. But the one I really want to add is the data labels, because without the data labels, we don't know what each point actually is. And to do that, click on the edge of the chart, click the plus sign, and put a tick in data labels. Now, by default, what you get as the data labels are the values from the second column, which obviously we don't want because it doesn't really tell us anything. So if you click the arrowhead to the right of data labels and go for more options, you can choose where you want the data labels to come from, and you can actually choose more than one option. So you could say series name, for example. Again, that's pretty useless because what that's doing is just giving you series 1 and series 2, because a series is a column. So we selected 2 columns. So I'll take all those ticks out. What I actually want to do is pick up the values from column A. So what you do is you select values from cells and then select those cells, click on OK, and then we get the values from those cells as the data labels. So there is our scatter chart. A bubble chart, just before I go on to see if there's any questions. No, we're still talking about CSV files. Bubble charts are a kind of extension of that. What they do is, instead of plotting the numbers with little dots, they plot the numbers with big circles, or bubbles as they're called, where the size of each circle is governed by a third column that you choose. So if we have a look at this one, what we've got here, the first column, so column B, is used for the x-axis. The second column, in this case column C, is used for the y-axis. And the third column determines the size of the bubbles. So if I hover over one, I'll just pick one at random like respiratory. What it's doing there is it's showing us 20, 50 million, which if you look on row 5 is the 20 and the 50 million, and it's showing you that the size has come from the 8 million. So what that size is telling us, or what that 8 million is telling us, obviously it's profit, but it's relative to all the other profits. In other words, the size of that circle is not 8 million pixels, obviously, but it's a certain size based on the value of this cell here relative to all of those other cells there. I'll show you how to build it in a second. If I go to a second bubble that I've created, what I've done with this one is, instead of having sales and profit, sales in C and profit in D, I flip them around, so profit and sales. And that way we're seeing the number of products on the x-axis, we're seeing the profit on the y-axis, and the size of the bubbles is based on the numbers in column D. If I go back to bubble 1, the question most people will ask is, okay, it looks very pretty, looks like something from outer space actually, doesn't it? But what's it showing? Well, what it's showing is that respiratory drugs have the most revenue and the most profit, the most products, but not the biggest profit. The biggest profit is actually from oncology drugs. So you can have a look at your products, you can have a look at your sales, and you can work out which is the most profitable, which is the least profitable, maybe where you should be focusing. Of course, if we could focus on a COVID-19 vaccine, that would be even better. But we've got to realise that there are still other diseases in the world. Anyway, how do we actually build the bubble chart? Well, we'll select the 3 columns of numbers, then go to, it's done it again. I don't know what's up with this, but it's just refusing to click on the menu. Right, should we kill Excel again? We will get there in the end. Dumpty dumpty dum. Any questions? Pretty sure values from cell does not work on a Mac for some inexplicable reason. Are you talking about the title, Neil? Oh, right. Sorry, there's two things here. When you hover over the bubble, can you label the bubble for profit? Let's go back into this chart. Close that down. Come on, it's totally crashing on me. This is not good. This is not.
I've got exactly the same problem.
Why? What's crashing with you?
Oh, don't go there.
Your next demo.
My next demo.
Oh. Looks like we're in for an early finish then.
No, we've got to count. No, we'll sing something. Lullabies for Jonathan.
Right.
Go on. Give it some wine or something.
Right. All the menu's clicking again. Right. So just see those questions. Oh, you can't select another series to name the point, Neil. Right. I don't know. I've not tried it on a Mac, I must admit. And Kim says, when you hover over the bubble, can you label the bubble for profit? I don't think you can. I think all you're getting is the values from the cells. So let's look at creating a bubble. Select the numbers from the 3 columns. Go to Insert, and we will choose a bubble. And you've got a 2-dimensional bubble, you've got a 3-dimensional bubble. Position the bubble chart where you want it, resize it to how you want it. Set the chart title either manually or to come from a cell, as I'm doing there. If you want to remove the grid lines, you can do. I actually think it looks better without the grid lines for a bubble chart, not for a scatter chart because the points are so small. If I want to change the background of the chart, I'll click on the edge of the chart and then go up to Format, Shape, Fill and choose Color. If I want to change the color of the circles, click on one of them and then use the same command, Format, Shape, Fill, and pick a color. If I want to change the settings on the axes, right click on the axes and go to Format Axes. So I could set the minimum as 0 and the maximum as 60 million. And that way I'm getting the 0 at the right, the crossing at the 0 rather than the minus. So that is a bubble chart. Bubble charts and scatter charts. Yeah, Neil, Excel is a bit limited for certain types of charts. When I've been reading up on some of this, they are good, but they do have their limitations, particularly for scientific charts. There is an app out there, I think it's quite expensive, called Spotfire. I know a lot of the scientists at our place use it, so it might be worth looking at, but it is expensive. But certainly bubble charts, they're often used in scientific spreadsheets, although, you know, put your mind to it, you probably could use them in other areas. Ah, they're cool, Jonathan. Excellent. All right, how's the crashing going over on your end?
Keep talking.
Okay. Right, let's have a look at changing one or two other bits then on these circles. So I can have those. I know what I haven't done. I know what I haven't done. I haven't put my data labels in, have I? It looks very plain without them. So I'll select anywhere on the chart, click the plus sign, go to data labels. Now you can see that they are on the inside. First of all, they're not what we want, but they're also on the inside of the circle. So I'll click the little arrow, go down to more options, and first of all, I will change it to pick up the data series, but not the Y value. And I'll also change it so it's not in the, sorry, I don't want the data series, do I? Because that's just series 1 and series 2. I want the value from cells, and I want it from those cells there. And then instead of having it in the center, I can choose where I want it to go, left, right, above, or below. You can actually move individual data labels. So if I decided that maybe oncology wasn't in the right place, maybe two of them were a bit close, I can just click on one of them and just drag and drop it and put it where I want it. I don't like it there. Let's undo that. And if I want to change something about these circles, I can go up to Format, and I've got Shape Fill, which lets me choose a different colour, but I've also got Shape Effect, and that lets me to put things like shadows and glows and stuff like that on there. Soft edges. Okay, save that. How are we doing over there?
I think we can go for it, but I'm not at all confident. It's misbehaving.
Okay. Can you change the colours depending on sizes or other ranges? I think the only way to do that, Paul, is to use VBA. I've been asked that before with regard to other types of charts, and the only time to do that is with the only way to do that is with VBA. Time for an access demo. You could well be right, Neil. Watch this space. All right, I will hand back to you.
With a bit of luck, this demo will work. The Queen one was fine. It was demonstrating this one that was the problem. Right, let me get back to my screen. Okay. 26 minutes until we try and check out. Just saying. Highlight of the night. Although, didn't you get a slot earlier?
I've got a slot and I've put some stuff in.
Nah. I've got stuff in a basket. Mine works in a totally different way. Right, okay. Where did everything go? Where did it all go? There it is. Excellent. Right, okay. Oh, I thought you were doing that. I think there's a question there, unless you've answered it, about colour ranges. But
I've answered
I thought that was about me because I'm talking about recolouring the Queen. Right, this was Jonathan's question about how he recolours the Queen. This was when the Queen went live on Marooned at MacBites headquarters. Now, two different things we're talking about here. Recolouring is where you would take her green dress and change the colour of it. What I actually did was take her green dress and then manipulate it so it looked like a t-shirt for Marooned at MacBites headquarters. So I'll start off taking you through actually recolouring something. There are a million different ways to recolour something. I thought I'd go for a tricky one, which seemed like a good idea at the time. Having just gone through the process yet again, it worked the first time, didn't work the second. Hence Mike rabbiting on about bubble charts while I was trying to make it work. But we'll just do it, and if it works, great. For some reason, it's hard to buy a bar of soap around here. We've got the same problem, Kim. Liquid soap, you can forget it. Totally forget it.
I've got 4 bars of soap in the car.
If we could get them to Kim, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
We should be able to do that.
They're there from the last time I actually ventured into a shop.
That was a while back.
It was.
Oh, I did well though, didn't I? Because I got my Now V voucher.
Yeah.
The last time we went in, it was March, early March, and I thought, I'll just take one of these. I don't need it till July, but I thought I'll just take one. You never know. That was a good manoeuvre, wasn't it? In hindsight. We'll still be stuck here this time next year, I'm telling you. When there will be 365 episodes of Maroon to keep Jonathan entertained. Can you imagine if that happened? No, I mustn't think about it. Right, I've got a picture. Here. No name. Should we give him a name? We called the dog Bruno, didn't we? What should we call this one? Shout your names out in the chat. Right, I thought we'd stick with this. Could it be cool? And
Stephen.
Stephen. You think he looks like a Stephen? Dr. Stephen. Well, what I needed to do with Dr. Stephen was change the colour of his scrubs, which technically should be easy-ish. Now, first thing to think about, in what way do you want to make these changes? Because there are, as I said, millions of different ways of doing it. So first thing is, if we got a pixel layer and we got a brush tool, so there is a brush over there, we know all about the brush tool, don't we? Because we discussed the brush tool last week, and we can paint. Yeah, possibly not with leaves. Oh dear. Right, where's the brushes? Let's get a standard brush, not the big old leaves brush, but the basic brushes that either have a hard edge or a soft edge, so a soft edge would probably be better. And we could make that a bit bigger. Right. You see, Neil's suggesting Bruce.
I was seeing that.
It could look like a Bruce. Right, but basically you can paint on other layers, and it's not the best look, is it? Because the colour that you're using well, the colour you want it, so in this case the purple, right, is solid. And to make this look realistic, you're going to have some interaction between the layers. So an interaction between the purple layer and the background layer. So one option you've got is to change it to colour. And that's not bad. So that's one option. Dr. Butcher. I'm sorry, that's the winner. I'm loving that. How about Bruce Butcher? Best demo name ever, Bruce Butcher. Loving it. Right, you could do it like that. You could have harder edges where you need it around the neck and literally paint it on. Problem with that is it's going to take you a while, isn't it? But it would work. And obviously if you whip outside the edges, then you'd need to fix that. But that's the problem. You need to fix it and do it. But it would work. It would work. There you go. It would work. That I would suggest only where it's really simple. So we've done demonstrations before. You'll find them on YouTube of where I've painted over things like flowers. And it's relatively straightforward. For this one, I'd take a different approach. So let's get rid of that layer there. The other reason to take a different approach is, what if you wanted those scrubs to be a certain colour? Then painting over them, you can pick your colour. So let's say with our brush and our extra layer, we went and we painted on it. Right, and we went clean across it like that. That colour in the middle is going to be the colour that you want. But when you change that to be a colour blend mode, it no longer is the exact colour you picked. It's a mixture of the interaction between that layer and the background layer. Now, we've talked about that before. Mike sat through it about 15 million times and still can't tell me about blend modes, can you, Mike?
No.
No. So it may well be that you've watched something on blend modes before.
Some kind of mathematical formula.
It is. You see, this is where he should get excited because he could do this in Excel. The actual colour you end up with... Jonathan said it's what he did. Is this with the door, Jonathan? It's one way. It's one way. You could potentially play around with it and get almost the colour that you want, but it would be trial and error, and you would need to change the blend mode. Now, a blend mode, the easiest way to think about it is every colour has a value, a numeric value. And if you look at what some of these blend modes are called, like multiply and subtract, you can see they've obviously got some mathematics going on, and they do. The blend mode is it takes the value of the pixel on the background layer and the value of the pixel on the layer above it and performs a calculation on it. And the result of that calculation is the colour you get. So your problem with doing it that way, even when you change it to a colour blend mode, is it's not going to be the exact colour that you had when it was a solid, normal colour. Now, what you could do, if this was to go in a magazine, and I've seen this done, where the predominant colour of the magazine was that like purpley colour, is you could change that down to a colour blend mode and then potentially alter the opacity so it's got a kind of tone to it to match the publication. So that's one thing. But that's not what we want, is it? We want to change the colour of those scrubs. So, and it would be better if the colour of those scrubs was a colour that we wanted it to be. All right, so let's try that. This was where it was going to a heck in a handbasket. Right, so first of all, we need something that's the colour that we want. And handily, that will do nicely. Let's try and get that 800. You're not having it, are you? Well, we'll make it 800 over there. So that colour red is the red that we want. Now, how you would deal with that is, if that's not quite the colour red, then go in here and pick the colour red that you would want. If you have a hex code for it, brilliant, put it in there. But that's the colour red that I'm going for, F11818. So that's the colour that we want the scrubs. If we were to hover that over it and change it to colour, it's a start, but not quite. So we'll change that back to a standard blend mode and try and do this the right way. I've just told you that the exact colour you will end up with is going to depend on a calculation between the colour that you've selected, which is that F11818, and what colour the scrubs already are. So we need a sample of what the scrubs already are. Now, when you're taking the sample, try and take the sample from a bit that's not too light and not too dark, a bit that kind of is the best representation of the colour that it is. And then making sure you've got the background selected, because I've got purple here as well, haven't I? Which we now don't want. Let's just shove that in there. Right, get rid of it. Where you go, purple. Where you go. Right, so I'm on this background layer here. I Command and J, and what I end up with is a copy of the bit of the shirt. And what I'm now going to do, and I'm going to turn the background layer off just so you can see what happens. But in there, they're all different shades of blue. You can even see lines and stuff. That's not one colour. What we want is one colour. So if we go up to filters and down to blur and onto average, that's what we'll end up with, an average of all of those colours. From that point, we'll take that and put it up there next to that. So these are the two things we need to work with, the colour that it is at the moment and the colour that we want it to be. Right, next thing to do. I'm going to duplicate the original one, which is this one, the red one. So Command and J to duplicate it. Then I need to make sure that this square here is a child of that square there. So that says background. I'm going to call that average of original scrubs. And then you know what it is. And this is the colour that we want it, red. Right, it's a child layer of it, but it's not actually put in the right place yet, which is right on top of there. Right, having got that next to it there, I'm going to need to make sure that that colour, so this red colour here, we're not actually seeing it there, are we? But we will do, right, is set to colour. And put that up there. Now, what you've done by doing that is you've got an interaction between the colour you want, which is this one at the top, and the background colour. So it's not quite right. If you hover over it, it's not quite right. It's too dark, which is what you would expect. I would expect that because it's interacting with the background, which is blue, thus, so it's making it darker. So we actually need to lighten it up a bit. So the way you do that is with it selected. Let's go and look at the levels adjustment. And you can see there's a whole bit here where there's no information. And we need to pull that back so we can lighten up the bottom one. And what we're trying to do is get it to match. And that looks pretty good. That looks like it's matching. Okay. Again, so far, so good. That looks pretty decent. So, let's move it up here. All right. with that, I'm going in there to change that to... no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I take that out of there. Let me move it. I think I need to take it out of there. No, I've got it right. Okay, so let me take it out. This was the bit that was going wrong before. Let me take it out and see if it's working. Right, so I've got here, if that interacts with that, it's the right colour. So now I can move it away from that because this was a sample and that was the exact colour I wanted. So I'm going to move those out of the way. And this is what I'm left with, which is going to look amazing, trust me. She said. But first of all, it needs to be over his shirt, doesn't it? Like that. That is way too much, but we'll worry about that shortly. Because you can take that down. And now you've got the red scrubs. Red scrubs look great. Rest of it, not so good. Because what you need to do with this, and you can actually have that and that grouped, right, is you need to have a selection. You need to make a selection. And the selection that we need to make is of the scrubs. Now, making the selection of the scrubs, not too tricky, but it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's not that tricky. All you need to do with that is get your select brush, which is this one up here, and start selecting. So I'm getting the brush a bit bigger. Just make a selection like that. That's done a pretty fine job. That was way faster than rehearsals. Whoa. Now, if I make it smaller and I go into the bottom down here, we want it around there as well. Now, there we've got a problem. It's selected the first one okay. Turn the hair on his arms a very strange colour. But it's not really making selections that I'm showing you, but I'll show you in here. I need to add to this selection here. I need to take that away. So I'm holding the key down, the option key, and it's taking too much. So I'm going to have to go back in and do it again. Take it up here to add that to the selection. So I've not got the pens and I've not got the phone. I'm not going to take too long with the selection because that's not what the demo's about. But I need to make the selection down here. And again, that was pretty alarmingly good. This demo's going to crash and burn because that's going far too well. And that one there, I need to add that to it as well. Right, so I've got a pretty decent selection. I may need to adjust this selection around the neck here. And I definitely need to get that bit up there. Because I'm changing these scrubs radically from one colour to another. Normally, you wouldn't be changing it as radically as I'm doing. But I needed something that you could see that would be amazing and would work. Okay, so I think we've got a very good selection there. At this point, you may click away and you may lose your selection. And then you will be a sad bunny. So, to be a happier bunny, if you go to select, which is your select menu, and save the selection as a spare channel, it would be there. Oh, okay. Neil's got to go. You're very welcome, Neil. I do wish you luck. You've got to go to your school and enrol 20 new iPads in Jam for School for MDM Manager. Good luck with that, Neil. Excellent. Have fun. Right, so I've got my selection. What I now need to do, and I've saved it to a spare channel. But saving it to a channel means you can bring back that selection as and when you need it. At the moment, I'll leave it where it is. And I'm going to go to this group up here, which is my colour, if you remember. And what I need to do there is add a mask. And because I already had a selection, boom, the mask's applied and you can see the selection. You can see where the selection's gone hideously wrong as well, which is on the hairs of his arms, but we'll work on that. As I said, I could have made the selection. I could have taken all night to make the selection. I'm not concerned that much about the selection. Just to prove the point, so let me deselect that, that you've got, we'll worry about the top of this. We won't worry about the hairs on his arms. But it is a mask, so if you wanted to make changes to it here, you could change the mask in there. So if I go down and get my brush and I bring it down in size, you see that there, and I do a default. Come on, you're not defaulting. Default. Oh, you're not doing that, are you? Okay, one needs to be black, one needs to be white. So there's a white. There's a black. And you can see if I do this, it kind of softens the edge and brings his hair back like that. So I would just make a much better selection, but that's not what I'm looking at tonight. What I'm looking at is the colour of the scrubs, which is now just the red we wanted it to be. So we had that rectangle at the top that we had for the right red, and if we toggle this off now, so we don't need that one, all we need, don't need that one either, all we need is this group. That was what they were before, and that was what they were after. If you want to change that fractionally, if it's like I want to see more shadow or want to make a different change, then you can bring up your blend options. What your blend options will enable you to do, if I bring this down, you can see I'm really taking that back. So that's nothing applied. We go halfway, it's like a maroony colour. We take it up to there, it might look more realistic. You can add extra points to this. You can do all kinds of things with this, get different effects with it. But I reckon that's not bad there. Just makes it a little bit more natural. Right. At least there's no hair on the door. Exactly. Jonathan's door should be easy after this, Jonathan. Changing colours from something like blue to red is quite an ask. So by doing the colour blend mode, if you want a session on blend modes, let me know. Just you know, all the blend modes, what are they? How do they work? But colour basically says, use the calculation that takes the two values and alters the colour. Sometimes it can give you a totally different result. But it's the colour interaction. We don't want the actual... We want the colour of the pixel and not the fact it's solid. So if we made that normal... At the moment it's colour, but if we change that to normal, you're going to get solid colour and it's not going to look natural. If you change it, I mean, you've got all these things, you could darken it. There you go, navy scrubs. You could lighten it, pink scrubs, not good. Neck needs dealing with now. Screen it. All kinds of different effects. Colour, that we're changing it to down here, colour, is just taking the colour value. And you're done. Now, obviously, as I said, you need to make the best selection possible. This is not the best selection possible, is it? Not by a long way. I would have refined the edges and fiddled, etc. But it's just to show you how to actually change the colour. The trick to it is sample the colour that you already had, which in the Queen's thing was green, and then take it to the colour you want it to be. Now, I didn't particularly want to change the colour the Queen was wearing. In here, I've totally changed the colour. So all you need to do is set up the colour that you want it to be and then set the interaction in the way that I've done. Now the Queen one, I was doing different things. So let's go into the Queen one. I mean, let me show you what the image looked like at the very beginning. This was the original. It was actually not the best quality when you look at it. It's quite flat, that image. But I needed a couple of passes at it. Okay, so the first thing that I did was this one here, which I took a background and I moved it across it. So I had the text and I had this bit here. Now I'd masked it. You see there's a mask? If I command click on the mask, you can see where it's masked. Now that mask looks odd, doesn't it? But it's because I've put in and made a child layer of what I wanted across her shirt. So I'm not just recolouring this. If I wanted to recolour it, let's take that away and deselect. So we want to change the colour of the shirt. Then it's the same process. So get a colour swatch that you want it. So what colour shall we put her in? She wears a lot of lime green, you know, but we'll put her into pink, shall we? Maybe not that kind of pink. Shall we aim for something like that? Poor Queenie. Right, and we need a sample of what it is now. Now, luckily, we can get a fantastic sample of that. So, Command and J, deselect it. What we've now got is a sample there. That is actually, it's like she's wearing a green screen, isn't it? I don't think that actually needs to be but we'll do it anyway. So we'll go into blur and we'll average it. I don't think that even needs an average, but doing an average gives it you as a square, which makes it quite nice when we take that up to here. All right. So we'll get them the right size. Then the pink one needs duplicating, and the pink one needs making a child layer of the green. There it is. Are we in the right place? That needs to be over that. And then change to colour. So you can see we get a very different effect. It's too dark, and that's because it's interacting with the green. And that's why you need to put the levels on it down here to get it back to where it was. Now, that's not a great colour, is it? Wow. But we'll move it back and see if we can get it about right. It's going to be a tricky one, that. Because that's too dark, and then it just tips into being too light. I reckon that's about right. It's not 100%, but it's as near as I'm going to get it. Right. Then we need to turn the queen back on. There she is. Then we need to put it in the right place. So this bit down here, we've got that and we've got that right. So if we change that to colour, we can move that around. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get that like that. Obviously far too much, and then of course you need the selection. So if I got that selection,
it's nearly shopping time.
It is nearly shopping time, you're right. I need to do my checkout, don't I? Right, is there anything else you want? Because
no.
Speak now or
No.
forever hold. Hang on, let me do the fake checkout. No delivery slots.
Oh.
Right, I'm waiting now. I'm going to wait till midnight. It's all right, I've got time. I've got a minute and a half yet. So it will remind me, and I'll put my clock on, and then we're good to go. Right, so I've made a bit of a selection there. Possibly not the best selection I've ever made, but we'll see. There's a recolour brush in photo, but this works far more accurate. There is a recolour brush, but this way you get to choose it before you start. This is not going to be the best, I can assure you, but if we'll just put a mask on it. Right, now obviously, because the other one is very, very different, because I've got this thing behind it, that's why the top isn't perfect. So I would have to then go in and edit the mask with the brush tool. What are we hoping for this week? What are we hoping for? Let's have a look. Some gluten-free bread, some toys for Mike, some water. It's not very exciting this week. I've got some crumpets in, but whether I'll get the crumpets... I do love crumpets.
We're not short of crumpets.
Well, no, but I was hoping for the gluten-free pancakes because I haven't had one yet. He keeps teasing me with pancakes, but never actually cooks one.
I'll make you some.
Excellent. I'm glad, Mike. I'm glad. Now I need to get the queen sorted out. Which mask am I editing here? I think it's that one, but it's 20 seconds, so bear with me. Right, so I need to get a white brush, and then I need to sort the queen out up there. Swap that round with that, and sort that out. So that's how you deal with that. But right now, my mouse pointer is needed on the other page. I've gone to a checkout. I've got no delivery slots.
Oh.
Swines.
Ew.
Oh, poor me. I'll try it again. No delivery slots. They don't like me. I'll try again later. Let me see what it's saying. Delivery slots are temporarily sold out. Oh, put hummus on your crumpets. Oh, I'm liking the idea of that.
We're off hummus.
Are we? Oh.
Yeah, after the scare.
Oh, we haven't got any hummus. Oh, no, I might have to buy some. I love hummus. I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, there was a local issue in the UK. It was a farm that made it, big manufacturing plant that made it. And they made it for like all the supermarkets in the UK. Not even joking. Everywhere from Waitrose down to Aldi. And the problem was there was it E. coli or listeriosis?
Something like that.
And everybody was ill. Some of our friends were seriously ill. So we had to bin it, and we've never bought it since. Quite fancy that now. Thank you for that, Jamie. I much appreciated. Oh, never mind, Jonathan. We'll get one sooner or later. So obviously, neck not perfect on that because I didn't make the best of selections to start with because I didn't need to. I was making it a different shade of green. But That is the right colour if we want it that colour. Make it more accurate around the neck and by changing the jewellery as well. But what I can do in here is take that, which is the pink, and change it slightly. Take it down so it's that's more normal, isn't it? I think the colour I chose was far too garish, so you can get it like everything from green, and as you apply a little bit, you go through blue into the purple, into obscene. But there you go. Now, what I actually did was, with this one, I put inside of here the text, which was the marooned at MacBites headquarters. That's why the mask came in square. So I looked at that and I thought, that doesn't work. It's too pale. Colours were off. So I repeated it, I duplicated it, and I made that bit darker. So it was exactly the same as the first one, just darker. I wonder what that'd be like with the pink on it. Oh, psychedelic or what? She looks cool now. Then I put the I Went Live on. And then I put a levels adjustment on it. And the levels adjustment, if you look at it, that was just to make it pop. It was a very bad image to start with. It was very dark. But that was how I did it. So, yeah, I could put that on. She could be psychedelic. So, how are we thinking this is going to go with the door, Jonathan? Do you want the marooned logo? Frighten your mother witless totally. You see, that's what your dad should do. What he should do is make something absolutely appalling. Then she'll settle for the white, because the white will be the lesser of all the other evils. But that's how I did it. So, have you got any questions? Do you want to do a standard thing on blend modes and how they actually work? I mean, you can see me turning these on and off, and it's because, it's working that way because this background that I've done is set to colour. And if I change the blend mode, it completely changes it. So that one, that hue, actually looks quite natural by comparison to that one. And they all just totally change it. That one doesn't look bad either. Average. Pretty decent. See, I need to have words with your father because, I've got experience with mine. He was a menace. Contrast negate doesn't work, does it? But as you go through these, you get a totally different effect. So if you understand your blend modes, then you know exactly which blend mode to use to get the effect that you're looking for. Some of them are good. Some of them are very bad. You would like blend modes. Excellent. I will do blend modes. Mike, digital post-it note. Don't let Mike loose near the post-it notes. Get digital ones, does Mike. Yep, that's no problem. We can do blend modes. He's going to give it a go. Excellent. And you're going to post the results. Are you going to post a result of the final door as well? If your mother lets your father live, obviously. Oh, your mother should have met my mother. They'd have got on like a house on fire. Oh, they'd have had all the things in the world to complain about. Give us a publisher length session on blend modes. Ooh, publisher was 3 hours, wasn't it? Was it just over 3 hours? Oh my. Probably could do that with blend modes. Done blend modes for years. Had a fabulous demo for blend modes with a car. Because blend modes, you really need to understand selections to make them work. So yeah, I'm sure we could stretch that out. Absolutely. So did that solve your problem, Jonathan? It was Jonathan's request, this one. Wanted to see what I'd done with the Queen. And as I said, I didn't have that one with the Queen, did I? No, I left the Queen looking like that. But actually, you could make some changes with that colour, with how it's interacting and get totally different results. I mean, I wanted something that looked completely garish and over the top. But that one is actually more natural than that one. I just left it I wanted it garish. Because she did go live, bless her, on Maroon. She doesn't know, but she did. We took her speech a few weeks ago. You're very welcome, Jonathan. Jonathan's made it to the end of the show. Mm-hmm. This is catastrophic. This is 2-2. We will meet again next week. Right, in that case, let's get in here. Where were we? We were in there. Add selections to the blend modes. Mike, you made a note?
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm putting it all in the one thingy.
Right, okay, so next time we're on the 4th, the 1st of May. Can't believe it's May. I think it's because I've not been out since February. So it's like time's actually standing still for me. So if everyone else could just stop the world moving, that would be good. It's a Friday, so it's a week today, same time, same place. 74. Wow, amazing. Congratulations, Jonathan. For anybody who's with us and doesn't know what on earth's going on, Jonathan has a habit of nodding off. Jonathan gets up very early. He is an early bird. Me, night owl. So it's quite frequent that Jonathan decides he'll just take the laptop into the bedroom and he'll just sit down. It'll be fine. He'll stay awake. And he never does. So after about 10 minutes, we say, "Has Jonathan gone?" And if he doesn't reply, he's asleep. So we then shout klaxon for Isaacs to wake him up, but we've never managed to wake him up. He does, however, catch up on a Saturday morning at an alarmingly early hour. But tonight he's managed to stay to the end. Can I just say, though, there was, we won't say cheating, but we will say prep involved, wasn't there, Jonathan? Prep. Little bit of a nap earlier today. But next week, no opportunity for a nap. So, at the moment, it's 2-2 to me and Jonathan. Rematch next week.
Why is it the worst day to be in Seattle on May the 1st? And why is it Deb's special day?
Oh, tell me. I need to know those things. Isn't there some weird thing that goes on, Kim? And there's a lot of accidents and people end up in A&E, because I saw it on Grey's a while back. I can't remember what it was, though. Is it some kind of fighting? Absolutely. So I need to know why it's Deb's special day and why it's the worst day to be in Seattle. But you're not going to be, are you, Kim? You're going to be marooned. You're definitely going to be marooned. It's safer to be marooned.
It's Deb's birthday.
Wait, it's Deb's birthday. Is your birthday on our list?
I'm just going to look.
That definitely needs... That's worthy of a post-it note. I'm going to get a special green post-it note out for that.
That was in Slack, wasn't it?
Then you're not taking any notice of it, Mike.
Yes, you've got a green special post-it note.
A green special post-it note, absolutely. This is because I need to get into Slack and I've been that busy. But I will. Mike's going to give me a break this weekend. Yeah, excellent. So it's your birthday.
A break from what?
The Messenger's Race. That must have been what it was called. I just remember there was loads and loads of accidents and all of the doctors didn't like it. They hated the day. And I think, what's his name? The red-headed guy. Kevin something. A Scottish actor. He's been in it since forever. And he had no idea what was going on. So it was a good thing, but I've forgotten what it was called. Yeah, I'll have to watch that episode again. In fact, I think...
there we go, Deb 1st of May.
Right, that's fine then. We need that on a calendar, Mike. We need to be organised with it, you know. Excellent. We can't get a cake to you, Deb. If you could get your own cake, we'll all sing happy birthday. Can't say fairer than that, can we?
No.
We should definitely do that, you know. Absolutely do that. So, same time, same place next week. In the meanwhile, on demand, every day, marooned. But not only is it on every day, but you can also listen to the recordings because we have a feed for you to subscribe to. You actually saw some published tonight. Live. I've got them on the wrong date, but I'll fix that. I know it's a horrible feed, but that's what we've got. So that's what it is. I'm sure most of you who want to be subscribed are already subscribed. Can't say any fairer than that, can we? Right, okay then. We love you guys. And if you love us, could you give us a like? How about that Toblerone cake? Oh, absolutely. Mike, you need to get that Toblerone cake now.
I'll put it in the basket.
Yeah, I've got stuff in the basket. If you want to hear about things from me, then you need to go to elainegiles.com/VIP. If you want to hear about all things MacBites, you need to go to macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. And all the rest of the time, we're in Slack, having a fabulous time. Now, that link will work because Mike updated it last week. That is macbites.co.uk/Slack. And it's where we carry on the conversation and loads of other conversations. Oh, it's a holiday as well.
It would have been a holiday for us.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. No. We have our holiday on the Monday. But this year they've moved it for VE Day for all the parties. That worked well, didn't it?
The virtual parties.
Just saying. Well, they're virtual now. Absolutely. So the following week, which is the 8th, we're live then as well. And it's VE Day. So we'll have a little bit of a VE Day party, I think. So, any requests for next week? We've got blend modes. I don't know when I'll stick that in. Because that's quite a long one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you promised access to Neil? Now he's not here.
No. I said, watch this space.
Yeah, but but see, he's supposed to be telling us precisely what he wants. You think you missed the freebies. Right, the freebies were 2 courses from Udemy. One was on editing photos on iPad that I think was about 3 hours, and the other was a fast one.
I'll put them in.
A fast course, editing course for Pixelmator for Mac. Deb wants access as well.
I know.
You're not going to be able to avoid this.
Right, I've stuck the 2 links into the 2
Right, okay.
courses.
Hello, Zakaria. Lovely to hear from you. Hi. Notion, more Notion. You want more Notion? I think I'm about to spend a couple of hours in Notion tidying things up. That's usually when my best ideas come in. So I'll make a note of that as well. I had one left over, and I can't remember what it was from last week. It's on a post-it note, so it's not lost. It'll be fine. You're going to look at the Ulysses formatting, and maybe we can have a little session. Good idea. Good idea. The thing with Ulysses is there's 2 things that you can create. You can create the output formats, and you can create an editing format, so you change the interface of the editor. You can also create languages, but I've never quite got that to work properly. Not 100%. Oh, so it looks like more Notion's needed. More Notion. What do I need to organise in Notion, or organise in a different way? If you've got any specifics on Notion, something you'd like to build, we could definitely do that. We could do a build with me. So if you think of anything in the week, you need to let us know. Shall I try again for that slot now, just because I can?
Yeah.
do you reckon there'll be any?
No.
I'm going to come out a keynote so I can see my basket. Oh, hello, Queenie. Right, let's go in and see if there is one. Did you want the avocados or not?
No.
Right. Sure?
Yeah.
Right. Let's try again, see if there are any. No, there's no slots. Swines. Subscription tracker. Yeah, I have got a subscription tracker. It's sort of, what would you say? Half built. It works, but I started it off from an idea of somebody else's. And when it's not yours, it's like, do I want to change that? So yeah, I could have a look at that, a subs tracker. Frightened myself to death.
There's no slots at Tesco either.
No, there's no slots anywhere, but the world will run out of money in the end, and then I'll pounce because I haven't run out of money yet. Despite the fact, how much have we spent on gluten-free stuff?
I don't know.
That would be something for Notion to track. What's worse, never mind how much we've spent on it, how much have we eaten? It's a good job we can't go anywhere. Oh, frightening stuff. What have I got in Notion? Let me get my...
Yeah, I think my clothes have shrunk.
Everyone's saying that. You've got to take them out the wardrobe. They shrink if they're in the wardrobe under quarantine. Yeah. Everybody's saying the same. Right, where's my Notion gone? Right.
Oh, the COVID cave will be empty soon. Is that your COVID cave?
That means Kim's going to have to head out the COVID cave.
Yeah.
Not good. Right, here's my Notion. What have I got in there? What have I got in there that we could look at that would be amazing? Oh, I know.
Yes, the wine cellar's going to be empty soon at MacBites headquarters.
Is it? I don't know if they'll deliver wine, I must admit. Because it's got to be signed for. Literally signed for. So unless they use Jonathan's company's thing, which I don't think they are, I don't know how they're trusting you with wine. But you could order some and find out, Mike. That would be interesting. I've just thought of something.
From MacBites.
Yes, I've just thought of something. How we run the radio show.
I was going to suggest that.
Oh, yes.
The request table.
The request.
I was just going to suggest
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, you might get a couple of weeks out of this at the moment. So, is there anything that you can see that you're interested in?
No, Kim's got a full COVID cave.
No contact for 2 deliveries. I think that's a good idea. What we do is we let them come in. The doors are open. They put it all in the porch, and then we drag it in wearing gardening gloves. We wash it all down, and then we wash the door down. This is costing a fortune in cleaning fluid.
The gardening gloves now got a hole in it. It's been washed that many times.
I'm going to need more gardening gloves. Hey, but I've got the towels. Oh, yes, I've got the towels. So pleased to get towels. In fact, I was so excited that I got the towels. What's that? Oh, yes, that would be cool, Jonathan. Which bit? The chap flies past. Tracy's, you're going to post in Slack. Right, Jonathan, which bit? What would be cool? The radio bit. That is cool, actually. We tried a system, that didn't work. We tried another one, that does just work and is pretty amazing. So we could do that. But anything that you think about, you let us know. Yeah, we're going to need gardening gloves now. We did have, what they call, ours are plastic. The radio show. Okay, Jonathan. They were like plastic bags, weren't they? They weren't the full proper.
Cheap muck.
No, I'm talking about the ones that doctors and dentists wear.
Yeah, disposable ones.
Yeah, but they're not like those because they're quite tight
they're not
fit.
Latex.
No, they're not latex.
Latex are disposable ones.
But then we've run out of those. So yeah, we're down to the gardening gloves. I've got some.
I could probably nick some from the labs at work, but that would involve going in.
Yeah, you don't want to go into work. No. I've got some white cotton ones that I use when I'm working with photos, but they're so thin, but they're better than nothing. Having said that, we did the stats. I wonder if I can find the stats while we're looking at this. Can I find the stats? It was... let's try COVID deaths, Trafford, UK. No, that's not granular enough. Oh, when I could see the stats, they weren't bad here. Shall we try BBC? BBC COVID stats. It was on the BBC. I found it. Usually says, check the stats in your area. Oh, Donald. The Don. No, it's not that one. What was the other one? Is it that one? Is that the same one or is it the top one? They're both going to the same place. Are they? No, that's got no explainers in it. Why don't they put the stats where you can find them? Because that's what you want to see. Oh, there's Captain Tom. Yeah, he got his number one, so we're all delirious about that at the moment. No, nothing there. I wonder if I can find it here. Oh, hang on. What was that? No, that's our coronavirus stories. But I would have thought, seriously, the stats would be in here. Has anybody got one that goes down to the level of your county? This is just hideous. All these stories are so... Oh, my God. Look at these people and the masks they're wearing and stuff. I really shouldn't be doing this. Let's go to the home and see if it's there. Nope, that's the US. No, I can't find it. But basically, we have... No, it's not there either. Ooh, hang on. Let's put Trafford in. See if I can get it from there. Trafford. Sale Trafford. You see, now you know where we live. I mean, this is just chaotic. Man arrested after shots fired at a cemetery.
I was wondering if that's where Carl is.
Do you know, I was just wondering that.
Or has he gone back to Southern?
Where was it? Gorton?
The Gorton.
We know somebody who works there.
He was at Gorton at one point.
Crying out loud. No, the last stats I saw said that we have a population of 260,000 locally, and there's been 512 deaths. Which seems like a small number, but not great if you are one of the ones who has died. But I can't find that again now. But there you go. That's what's going on here. Rockstar tour buses transformed for NHS workers. Here's the 5G stuff. Is that Woodward? Oh, there you go, Mike. 2 hours ago. Big money transfers won't happen. Woodward. I thought you might have done. You're crazy, you. You get to see everything way early. Way early. So I'll put the poster back up. There we go. Are we going to have something to eat, even though Graham's not here?
Yeah. What would you like to eat?
Oh, Kim's washing her rubber gloves. That's a good idea. Ours wouldn't have taken that. They were far too skinny. Washing up rubber gloves. Yeah, we could do those type of rubber gloves. At the moment, we can't get hold of any. Is Captain Tom being knighted or not? No news. No news. So it doesn't look like... Well, I guess there's a special opportunity on his birthday. But other than that, it would be the New Year's honours list, which is quite a way off. I think they should just knight him and be done with it. But we'll see. So Kim can go to zip level code for the stats. Well, we can, but I can never find the link. It pops up every now and then, and you think, oh, I'll have a look. And then you're looking for it and you can't find it. So let me see if I can get it on Sky News. No, that's Sky Sports. There's no sports going on, is there? Let's try Sky News. It's come to a sad day when you've got to look at Sky News. But we'll have another look, just see if there's a link to it. Sky News has big chunky stories and you can then load more. 5 tests, lockdown, who's died? Oh, it just keeps loading more in. So eventually, I did see a story I was going to put in and I just thought, you know what? No, just don't. But I'll share it with you now. Right, you can put Donald Pump's face on yours on Snapchat. Oh, that's a good idea. Might make a note. We'll have a look at it. See what that does. What Jammy's just put. If you put Donald Pump's face on yours on Snapchat. I am actually on Snapchat, but I haven't actually been on it since forever.
That as a thingy for next week.
Stick it down. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my iMac screen again. One of the things I was going to talk about was this story here. Experts offer advice about what habits we should keep. I thought, really? And I was thinking about being kind to each other and stuff. And when you look at it, it's just some flaming no-marks who's saying things like, you know, where is it? Create a daily structure to help feelings of mental well-being. And you're like, when can I throttle this woman? And the others were even worse. We should think about limiting the amount of information we take in. So condescending. Really? 5-minute exercise routines and finger painting. I don't know about you, but that wasn't what I had in mind. Oh, and the key thing would be to be flexible working. Yeah, that's all very well. But, you know, when there's not a coronavirus scare on, all your employers want you in at work. Now there is. Can you just go home? Well, my employer tried that once with me. We had a tiny car park and my car was parked in it along with everybody else's. And then he lost the plot. This was literally like a year into everybody parking the car park because a client turned up and there was no parking. So he threw everybody's car out of the car park. Fair enough, thought I. I thought one thing I could do is park in the car park opposite, which wasn't too far away, but it cost £12 a day. My mother said, no way you're doing that. You can get a taxi for less than that. So she got onto a local taxi firm and she said, I'm looking for a deal where you take my daughter to work in the morning, you bring her home in the evening. And we got a great deal. It was something like £6 a day. So I was well in. It was saving me 50%. That actually did, for a trainee lawyer, you know, that was £12 a day for... It was £240 at the time. That was in a month. £240 a month to park. You could get a mortgage for that. So I was quite happy to have that halved. So I started being driven in. I wouldn't start work till 9 o'clock on the dot. And I packed up at 5:30 on the dot. All of a sudden, he wanted me to be flexible, didn't he? And I said, you haven't been flexible. No, I don't think I even mentioned the car, did I? Because what had happened was everybody else had gone in with a sob story. I need my car in the car park because I'm coming 20 miles. I need my car in the car park because my wife's pregnant. I need my car in the car park because. I never said a word. I just came in, started work at 9, finished at 5:30. To give you an idea of what working hours normally were, those were your official working hours, but you'd be there from 7:45 and you might not leave till 9:30. He couldn't handle it. And my mum said, he'll break before you do. And I said, damn right he will. Well, we'd been going about 3 weeks. And he said, can you go to Bury? And I said, fine, I'll book a taxi. What time? Oh, no. Can you bring your car in that day? I said, no. And he went, is there something wrong with it? I said, no. But seeing as though, you know, my car is either here all the time or it isn't. I said, it is not here for your convenience if it's not here for mine. So I'll book that taxi. Now, Bury was about 23 miles away and it would have cost about £50. He came into my office and told me I could bring my car in. First off, he said, you can bring your car in tomorrow. And I said, no, I can't. I either bring it in or I don't. He stalked back in and said, okay, bring your car in. If you want people to be flexible and be able to work from home when it suits you, you need for it to be that they can work from home when it suits them. So that was the first thing. What was the other one I was looking at? These are amazing. These are how, this is the Italian Alps. Look at the state of this. This moves from, well, it should move from side to side. Why are you not doing that? These do. Here we go. So that's what it was before. And that's what it looks like now. It's amazing and beautiful. Wow. There we go. Just look at that. We should do this every year for a month, I reckon. There we go. I mean, that just looks like post-apocalyptic, doesn't it? But look at it now. Wow. And I'm not sure, was that Indonesia, that one? But again, everything just looks so amazingly clean. There's people on that one. That's not good. They're socially distancing, though. They are socially distancing. It's stunning. Oh, and there's Boris. Oh, and Gary Neville. Oh, never mind. No, I thought they were worth seeing. I thought the difference there was just totally stunning. Wow. I saw some of America as well, similar to that. Shall we try US smog COVID? See what we get. There you go. These are some of the things that we've been seeing. I don't know whether I'll be able to see these. Sometimes if it's America, you can't. You get the thing hang up at you. Wow. There you go, like that. Oh, no, I've got my ad block on, so no, it won't let me see it. This is the problem I've got. Maybe I can see this one. There's some pickies. There's one. No, they're the ones we've already seen, aren't they? That one isn't. There you go. Downtown Phoenix. Mind you, there isn't a before of that. MacArthur Park. It does look beautiful. Really beautiful. I need to get over there and have a look, you know, Mike. Right, let's get back over to that so you know when we're back. And let me have a look here. Right. So similar to Kim's. Thing is, Kim, you know, you're playing Russian roulette, aren't you? Just because it seemed... I think it was 0.2%. But I don't want to be in that 0.2%. And nobody knows how they would react to it. And seeing as though we're in a very, very privileged position of being able to work from home, we're all kitted out to work from home. As you guys know, we put... internet in that was 3 times faster the week we went into lockdown. So we're now up to a terabyte. Or is it gigabyte? It's terabyte, isn't it, Mike? I'm getting confused now. But it's good. It's good. It's good internet. We had that put in. But we are in a very privileged position to be able to do that. And very privileged that we occasionally get a slot that we can get our groceries delivered, including our water, although I am looking at that filter. It's looking more appealing by the minute because we can't move for water, just saying. And what else? We're allowed to take Lola out for a walk. We have amazing friends who, when they go out, get dog food for us. So we're incredibly lucky. Other people, not so much. And Kim, you're on to day 54, aren't you?
So if we don't get a slot, it's not the end of the world.
Was that my tracker in the middle that I just missed? Whoa, did I just miss my tracker? Hang on, let me get back to that one. Was it on that page? Did I just skim past it? Because that's where I would have seen it. I'd have seen it on another page. Let me have a look. Right, I'm on the page with all those people telling us what to do that narked me. It's on there somewhere, I know it is. Is it that one? No, not that page. Let's go up there. Day 54. Oh, wow. I'll find that tracker, and this time I'll make a note of where it is. It must be there. Let's try Trafford COVID tracker. All I keep getting... Oh, hang on. What's that? A live map. That looks hopeful. Oh, it is. Wow, there we go. All right, let's share that. This isn't the one I've seen before, to be honest, but it'll do. So this is the COVID tracker from Bing, and it's Trafford. And we are south of Manchester, over here. So we are...
Tracy says where you had all those bookmark tiles. Have you bookmarked it?
No. Oh. No. Right, we are here. We are here. Whoa, they're accurate. Whoa, can you go in any?
Looks like a bubble chart.
Well, you see there's a dot.
Yeah.
Actually, according to that, nobody's died.
Good.
That can't be right. That can't be right. I mean, it's good to see, but it can't be right. We're in Sale here.
That's not true, because I know at least 2 people who have.
Exactly, so it's not right. Trafford it includes Old Trafford, doesn't it? So Old Trafford is somewhere around there. And it includes all of that, all the way up to your mother. There, and then back down to here. So that's sort of Trafford. And we're bang in the middle of it. There. In fact, where exactly are we? Broadheath, Carrington. We are there. Come on, dot. There. We're there. That's pretty close to that, but I think that's just general. But yeah, that's not too bad. I'm sure people have died because we know 2 that have. What's this over here? No, hang on. Oh, this is overall, isn't it? So yeah, this is ours with a load of news from places, which is not interesting. But yeah, 525. The day we went into lockdown, there were 5 cases. So actually, that's not bad, is it, Mike? How is it towards Jonathan, who seems to have nodded off? Jonathan's over here in Manchester somewhere. So where's the Manchester one? Can we just put in a location?
Does that mean you've won?
If he's nodded off. Oh, it does. Everyone's congratulating him. But if he's nodded off, we're still actually broadcasting. Oh, late winner potentially.
Controversial.
Shh, shh, shh. VAR. Oh, no, come back in now.
No, he's still there.
He's still there.
He's just being quiet and lulling you.
He is. You're teasing me, Jonathan. Why can't you, Jonathan, go try this Bing map?
Jonathan, go to bed.
With your postcode. Yeah. Oh, no, what stats have you got? Ours aren't too bad at all. I'm just having a look at Stockport. Stockport have actually got a lot more. They're not showing you the recovered and fatal here. They're just saying that's active. If it's active, then that's not overall. Naughty. How to lie with statistics.
Passion for Isaac.
You're cruel, Jonathan.
I think the end of the show from a go to bed point is the end of the demos.
No, this is extra time.
Because this is just chat.
Yes, but it's most important. This is where they tell us what they want next week and stuff. It's very important. Very important. But as I said,
this is like the post-match analysis.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to analyse what I'm going to eat because I had some cake last night and it was nice. My cake was my carrot cake. 941 for Jonathan. Yes, but Jonathan, there's a lot of flats where you are. So there's more people, isn't it? It's a denser population. There's people here with gardens the size of a park. Ours isn't, thankfully. Mind you, could imagine her zoomy round there. she wouldn't make one trip, would she? Some of the parks. It's when we moved that bench it started. We had the back garden kind of cordoned off with a bench because the fence needs repairing, if you remember, and we can't get a fence around. So we moved it to let her go in the back garden, and we've not looked back since. She's just zooming like crazy. I'm sure she's got a direct line to Kiva. So I've no idea what we'll be talking about Maroon tomorrow. Sure we'll find something, won't we? Day of rest tomorrow, she laughably said. Tomorrow's when we catch up with all the stuff we haven't had time to do within the week, isn't it? But I still want some of my cake, my carrot cake, my gluten-free carrot cake. Looking forward to that. Oh, wow. I know, but I like to have it with tea, and it's the middle of the night.
I'll make you some tea.
That's very good of you. He's very good, isn't he? So what's everybody else having? 26 cases and 5 deaths. That's not a good rate, is it? Not good at all. Oh, Moss Side. My granddad came from there. Only what was it called then? Before it was called Moss Side. That Gorton way, isn't it?
It's always been called Moss Side.
No, I thought it began with a B.
No. I used to work in Moss Side.
It's not come back to me. He was a very proud Manchester boy. He really was. Oh, Kim, you're right. Won't the priest be calling? Oh, he will, won't he? It's Mass Day tomorrow. See, I'm so used to Mass on a Sunday. Did you see that image, like a meme, that somebody sent to the group, the Catanian group? It was basically somebody was assuming it was all over and we're all going back to Mass. And the one person was saying to the other in the pew, yeah, it's all very well, but I really do miss fast forward and rewind. I mean, I said to you, time shifting Mass is fabulous. Yes, you're right. Jonathan's going to sleep. Oh, we'll all go to bed, Jonathan. We'll call this one a victory for you, and we will all head to bed.
Is it 2-2 now?
Yes, it's 2-2, officially 2-2. But that's today's. That's not what we want.
I'll have a replay on Friday.
And what I need is next week's. That's what I need. There we go. So we'll be back next week.
And tomorrow.
And tomorrow on Sunday and every day this week. On Marooned. If you've never heard of Marooned, it's our radio show at 7 o'clock UK time every day during lockdown.
On MacBites FM.
On MacBites FM. MacBites.fm. See that? Totally symbiotic.
Yeah.
Amazing. Should we do an iPhone?
I was just going to say that.
Right, ready?
Want iPhone.
iPhone. Not bad. iPad. People have never heard of MacBites and wondering what we're on.
Yeah.
You need to hear of MacBites. Talking of which, Jonathan's seen it now, haven't you? Oh, Peter's going to have breakfast. You wouldn't want cake for breakfast then, would you? Although you might. Full English. We keep tempting ourselves with a full English. The trouble is we've got that much other food in the house that we're having to leave all the frozen stuff and eat what might go off. But we will be back with you tomorrow. So, oh, great-great-great-grandpa had a... Well, I'm going to look that up now, Tracy.
I've already looked it up.
Is it still there?
Can't find it.
There must be something history-wise, though. We've got 2 history buffs as well, haven't we? Stuart and Ellen. It was last week they should have been doing their walk. No, never mind. Right, well, we're going to head off and get something to eat, despite the fact that Graham isn't here to share what he's had. And I had a teddy bear for Graham. And that's 2 weeks he's not been here. Naughty, naughty Graham. But we will sort something out with that. So, for now, it's good night from me.
It's good night from me.
And we'll both
see you next time.
Good night, guys.